Part 31. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 304. Chapter 301, The Late Night Bed Talk Between Tenkayuki and Sakakihara Suzu. Zilla. The door was pushed open. Yuki. Sakakibara Suzu, who originally put down her recording notebook and finished feeding the rabbit, was about to go to bed when she happened to see Amami Yuki standing at the door, holding the door frame with one hand. Yes, Amami Nazuki nodded slightly to Sakakihara Suzu, who was standing inside wearing shorts and shorts. This late. Sakakibara Suzu subconsciously glanced at the time on the alarm clock, and then returned her eyes to Amami Nazuki's expressionless face. It's almost 12 o'clock in the evening, are you still not asleep? You must be very tired from studying every day. Well, I see you want to fall asleep all the time while listening. No, Suzuya. Me? This is to prepare for work. Even if my brother helps us with our homework, I can't put down my work. I still have to keep doing what I have to do. Sakakihara Suzu saw that she was still standing at the door. It's Yuki, are you unable to sleep? Kind of. Oh, then why don't you go see my brother tonight? Ellie won't let me go to him. Sure enough. Sakakihara Suzu is very pleased with her brother. On a certain level, Suzuya Sakakihara feels the same way about Amami no Yuki's current state. After all, they are the ones who were refused to get into bed. My brother is like this. Although he has been very popular with women recently, if there is no legitimate reason, he will not agree to someone sleeping with him. Of course, if there is a legitimate reason, he doesn't know how happy he is. Sakakibara. Ling walked to the dressing table, removed the hairpin from her short hair, and answered in a low voice while stroking her hair. Can I sleep with Ling today? Huh? Want to sleep together? Together? That's good. I haven't slept with you yet, Yuki. We just can't sleep. Let's chat tonight. Naturally, Sakakibara Suzu would not refuse to have a chat partner to sleep with at night, and would even be happy that Amami no Yuki could take the initiative to tell her this. Yuki, please sit on my bed. Wait a moment while I comb your hair and prepare the materials I need to get to work tomorrow. Amami no Yuki agreed, took the initiative to walk into the room, sat on Sakakibara Suzu's bed, and then watched from behind as Sakakibara Suzu carefully put the things to be prepared into her school bag one by one. She was very conscientious in these actions, and kept all her work-related notebooks, notes, etc. properly. This was very out of place compared to her usually messy bedroom where she kept things everywhere. Sakakihara Suzu quickly prepared things. Okay. I've prepared the things, Yuki, let's get ready to sleep together. Asterisk. It's said to be sleeping, but actually it's just playing around. Cover each other with a quilt and get into the same bed together. Sakakibara Suzu would also take the initiative to lean Amami Yuki's petite shoulders to her chest, and in the playful closeness, he could smell the refreshing fragrance coming from her slender neck. Really? It is a very happy thing to have a good best friend who you can get close to and trust casually. The snow is still very pure. No matter how you hug her or ask her to come close to you, she won't refuse. What a good friend. Sakakihara Suzu was still curious about what it felt like to scratch Yuzuki's natural itch, so she put two hands into her belly and kept scratching on both sides of her belly with her fingertips. How about it? It's so itchy. Tianhai's Higsyu's eyes remained motionless. Suzu Sakakihara hugged her soft face and said to her helplessly, Yuki, if you said it was itchy, you should show a corresponding expression. For example, smile, or something. Why do you always have this expression? Suzu Sakakihara suddenly realized something and took the initiative to look into the eyes of the girl opposite her pillow. Yuki, don't you know how to laugh? Tianhai's Higsu nodded, and although her expression was indifferent, she looked very cute. Never laughed before. Tianhai's Higsu nodded. Have you never encountered anything that made you happy? Tianhai's Higsu thought about it carefully, and finally nodded lightly, no. Na's Higsu, your previous life was quite miserable. Sakakibara Suzu, who subconsciously blurted out, quickly covered her mouth and took the initiative to smile at her. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It's okay, Tianhai's Higsu whispered. Yuki, I heard from my brother, did you used to receive treatment at home every day? What disease? Not sure. Probably it has something to do with Wajiksu's experience after she was born. Sakakihara Suzu had heard her elder brother talk about Yuki's experience before. She had no mother, and her father basically ignored her in the early days. No friends, no school, and having to constantly check on my health. All she has is a huge house and servants who come regularly to take care of her daily life. Sakakihara Suzu felt that Yuki was like a doll. So simple and cute. It is also the kind of existence that is so pure that you can put it in your hands and play with it. How about Higsu calling me sister? Elder sister. So good. Sakakihara Suzu was almost elated when she heard this. No one had ever called her sister so sweetly. Can you give me a hug? Tianhai's Higsu had no room for rejection. Higsu's face is also very comfortable, and the soft feeling seems to spread into the heart along with the lines of the skin, making people never forget it. Can you call me sister again? Elder sister. Yeah, so good, so good. But Sakakihara Suzu rubbed it and soon realized that this was wrong. This is just taking advantage of Higsu's blank personality. She has been forced to accept it? Forget it, just call me Ling. After all, that's not the case, and it still sounds a little weird. I want to talk about fun things with my sister. Sakakihara Suzu felt so happy when she called her. She had never felt so comfortable eating potato chips or hamburgers. She immediately replied happily, talk about my brother? Okay. What do you want to talk about? I'm worried that no one can listen to me. How are you feeling? This time, Tianhai's Higsu was silent for a second or two, which was rare. What she was thinking about was what Sakakibara Raku said to her. We'll treat you like a belle. What kind of treatment would it be like to be treated like a belle? This is exactly what Tianhai's Higsu is confused about. I want to know what happened between Ling and Le. Me and my brother? Well, we have to talk about it. Sakakihara Suzu smiled at her, then Yuki, come here and I'll tell you seriously. The snow of the sky and sea approaches. Suzu Sakakihara took her hand and put her on top of her, leaning her forehead against hers. They were so close that they could hear each other's breathing. The bedroom was quiet, the gauze curtains were blown by the night wind, and only the dim moonlight quietly filtered in. Sakakihara Suzu closed her eyes. Okay, Yuki, please close your eyes too. Tianhai's Higsu was obedient and closed her eyes, relying only on her senses to feel the breathing and the sound so close at hand. Sakakihara Suzu said slowly in a gentle voice that was rarely seen before. Well, how should I put it, my brother is a very special person to me. When I first became conscious, among the few memories of my childhood that I could still recall, the one I remembered most clearly was the appearance of my brother. Taller than me, older than me, and often looks at me in a daze and smiles at me. I was a fool when I was a child, really a fool. I didn't learn to crawl until I was 1.5 years old, and I didn't learn to walk until I was 2 years old. And Higsu, can you believe it? In the few memories I have left, the person who remembers the most pictures is not my mother or my father, but my brother. He is always standing in front, wearing the shirt and jacket, which looked much more mature than those of his peers, clapped at me, smiled at me, and guided me to crawl forward to a place. At that time, I didn't even understand that I was her sister. But because he always appeared in my field of vision, always handed a spoon to my mouth, and always held my hand, so I can't help but want to get close to him. Wanting to be hugged, wanting to be cared for, crying loudly for his attention. Whenever I cry, as soon as he comes over, I open my arms to him and vaguely call out brother, and I get a long hug from him. Sakakihara Suzu said this, her tone quietly revealed nostalgia, and she smiled inadvertently. He is also very good at telling stories and soothing people to sleep. I remember that until I was 5 years old, I still liked him to come to my room and pull him to tell me stories. Every time I pulled his clothes and whispered brother to him, he reached out to touch my head and asked me softly, "Do you want to hear a story?" Then he took me to wash my face and feet, put me to bed, and said one story after another to me with my eyes closed. Stories never heard before. I can still think about the smell of my brother's clothes when I was lying on his lap. My dad would only say to me, "You damn girl, you still can't sleep. I always look for your brother every day. Am I your dad or is he your dad?" Sakakihara Suzu smiled a little when she said this. Really, Zhigzu, you may not understand my mood at that time. But at that time, in that rural area where there was nothing, my brother is truly a god. All adults praised him for his intelligence, and all his peers respected his intelligence. Not only can he cook, read, and take care of housework, but he can also make many small toys that adults have never had. Every time I take out those little toys that my brother made for me among the group of peers, I am always sought after by many, many people and enjoy the envious eyes of many, many people. I always hear them keep saying things like, "Wow, that's awesome, did your brother do this for you, your brother is so awesome," and so on. Whenever I hear this, I feel very happy. Even if someone bullies me, I can say it with confidence. "I will go back to find my brother to deal with you." Then when those guys heard my brother's name, they all became stupid in front of me. Because everyone knows that no child in the village can beat my brother, not even the fat little boy who sells meat in the village. Those people are just so stupid. Sakakihara Suzu laughed. Of course, my brother also has a mischievous side. Telling ghost stories, deliberately teasing me, deliberately making me angry, etc. But every time he wanted to be angry with him, he would secretly take out a marshmallow that I loved to eat when I was a child. I saw his smile again, and I really couldn't get angry at all. He kept wanting the marshmallows in his hands. Growing up, he has always caught my favorite butterflies for me, picked the flowers I wanted, secretly took me to the village chief's house next door, and let me stand on his shoulders to steal the big, round oranges. Really badass and exciting. Later I arrived in Tokyo and my father left. I didn't know what was going on at the time. My mother was crying alone in her room, so my brother took me far away to prevent me from hearing my mother's cries. That night I asked my brother what was wrong. Why hasn't my father come home yet? My brother still smiled and asked me to sleep and told me stories. From then on, I gradually understood that my mother also needed to go to work, I gradually understood that my family could no longer afford meat, and I gradually understood that my father no longer wanted us. My brother started to get busier and started to lose weight. But there's never less white rice in my bowl. Only the egg dishes and tofu in front of me are not missing. I'm the only one who can get a new outfit to wear on my birthday. Who still doesn't know the reason? Isn't it my brother? He gave me everything. And Zhigzu, can you believe it? Sakakihara Suzu suddenly laughed. Growing up, I have never done anything for my brother. Instead, I became very pampered because of his love. But even so, my brother only talked about me once. That is, he stole food and I ran away and hid in a bridge. That time in. After that, he never talked about me again. Even in elementary school, because I was teased by my classmates for sleeping with my brother, and I deliberately disliked him and asked him to sleep far away from me, and even caught a cold because of it. He never complained to me. He was so good to me, so good it was unreal. But do you understand? Zhigzhu, my brother never likes to be competitive, and he never loses his temper. He treats everything with an understanding attitude and tries to accept the other person. Complaints? Temper? Really very few. Obviously, his character is very good and a very rare and valuable quality. I don't understand why some people dislike him. Can anyone do it like him? Can anyone do what he did for more than 10 years, never thinking about himself, but thinking about working hard for me, my mother, and my family? Even now, he is like this. He is bound by the feelings of Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai, and has always wanted to become better and better for them. Everyone is forcing him to move forward. Isn't it because of his kindness? But when is kindness wrong? Why can Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai demand so much from him? Just because of their noble eldest lady status? My brother is very good, but his excellence has always been that he never argued with others and was never competitive. His dream, what he wanted was just an ordinary home and an ordinary life. So, I really benefited from my brother's character a lot. I also really felt like he was trapped in his own character. For Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai, he really changed himself too much. Being bound by the feelings of the two of them, I had to struggle upward. Sakakibara Suzu opened her eyes again, and met the eyes of Amami Nazuki, who had also opened her eyes just now. Zhigzhu, Chi Minjiao, and Julie Yulai didn't really consider my brother's feelings at all. They just asked for his love, possession of his good things, and his devotion to themselves. They wanted my brother to be better, but they didn't think about what he really needed. Does my brother really want both of them at the same time? That's not true, I never thought so. Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai are just using my brother's feelings for them to force him to serve them. Zhigzhu, you have to understand this. Sometimes I really want to help my brother and let him understand these things. But Zhigzhu, given my identity, I can't convince him, and it's hard for me to give him what he really wants at this stage. Amami no Snow, it's hard for Rin to give you what you really want. Yes, Suzu Sakakibara affirmed, this question is a bit abstract and I can't explain it well. But you just need to understand that my brother is really tired for Kiju right now. This is why I want him to forget Chiu Minjiao during this period. The reason for Julie Yulai. When Sakakibara Suzu said this, she felt sleepy. Zhigzhu, do you still want to listen? No. Okay then, go to sleep. Thank you, Belle. If you want to thank me for telling you so many stories, why not just leave the rest of your life to me? Suzu Sakakibara pulled up the quilt covering the two of them and smiled at her. Okay, go to sleep, good night. Okay, good night. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 305. I have no money to eat, what should I do? 7 or 8 years ago, Sakakibara Raku often thought about this issue and faced the debt left by his bastard father. That hut, which was not very neat and tidy, was often taken care of by those rich and powerful debt collectors, and it was really hard to sleep peacefully. And now, in the early morning, soft light flickered through the gauze curtains. Raku Sakakibara sat in front of the IPS screen of his computer, looking at the additional 50 million yen in his account, and fell into deep thought. In other words, I fell into a very touching and wonderful state. If you want to make money now, you only need to use the knowledge of finance to analyze the market, and then use the divination card box to 100% determine the direction of the stock market, and you will 100% make a lot of money. Ordinary people are wary of the stock market and face risks, so it is difficult to throw out all their principal. Sakakibara Raku has no such worries at all. and if the divination card box times are on cooldown, he can also use the dream corridor to conduct construction simulations based on the stock market data he currently knows. According to his attempts these days, aside from some force majeure factors, the simulation success rate has reached over 95%. Coupled with the almost invincible business intelligence of the Emkai Zaibatsu, and the top lawyer in Tokyo, Amami Shigenori, who has a complete understanding of business law. Sakakibara laughed when he looked at the balances of 867, 212, and 211.21 yen on the screen in front of him. It really doubled by accident. This is the money gained from holding stocks aside. Finance is the processing of information flow. Nowadays, the resources at his disposal and the information he can obtain are invincible. After learning from his uncle, Sakakibara now understands why the Amami family is so rich. What kind of stock market is this? Isn't it just the Tianhai family's back garden? As long as you have a reasonable plan, won't you be able to make money as soon as you reach out? One harvest is worth the lifetime of hundreds of people and the lifetime of a company. Down here, I don't know how many people are running for life, how many families there are, and how many citizens are using Tianhaijia's products, treating diseases and consuming products in Tianhaijia's hospitals. Living and working hard under the influence of Chable. Huh. Sakakihara looked up at the ceiling and let out a long sigh of relief. No wonder the old man is busy with the family business every day. In fact, when he is in his position, there are too many things to consider. Sure enough, it's still comfortable to be a young man. As for what Raku Sakakibara will do now that he has the money, well, definitely buying something to buy something. I have more than 800 million yen at my disposal. Sakakibara looked at the time. Saturday 9:13 a.m. That's enough time. Looking out the window, the blue sky with floating white clouds stretches as far as the eye can see. Raku Sakakibara breathed a long sigh of relief, turned off the computer, walked out of the bedroom, and called out to Suzu Sakakibara, who was chatting away in the living room, watching TV and eating potato chips, and Yuki Amami, who was drinking water. Huh? Are you going out? Sakakihara Suzu wiped her lips with potato chips with her hands and crossed her two white legs in casual shorts. Yes, go out. Aren't you going to tinker with the stock market at home? Suzu Sakakihara held a round potato chip bag in her hand and kept putting the chips into her mouth, making a clicking sound. No more. It's done. I mainly got up in the morning to see how it went. Raku Sakakibara sat between the two of them. Without thinking much, he directly took the glass of water that Amami no Yuki offered to him and drank it down in one gulp. Sakakihara Suzu watched him drink water and continued to eat while asking, how much money do you have now? 700,000? 1 million? Or 2 million? Sakakibara knew that Suzu didn't know how much money she had now. After all, he only told Aling that he could make money by playing in the stock market, but he didn't say how much he could make. In Aling's opinion, her elder brother is at most a rookie who tinkers with the stock market and makes money. You might even lose money. Sakakihara held the water glass and laughed. 800 million. 800 million. Sakakibara Suzu's reaction arc slowed down a few beats. When she put the next potato chip in her mouth and chewed it almost, her eyes suddenly widened wider than ever before, and the bag of potato chips fell from her hand. What? 800 million. Well, just 800 million. Sakakihara kept smiling. It's not Korean won? Is it Japanese yen? Sakakihara Suzu brought her face very close to her, her eyes shining with stars, very earnest. It's yen. Sakakibara pushed her head away. Sakakibara Suzu stayed there for a while to digest the news, then suddenly raised her head, became smiling, took the initiative to hug Sakakibara's arm, held her in her arms and kept shouting. Elder brother. What? Brother, Why are you so rich? Sakakihara Suzu shook his arm. So. It can't be the money that uncle or grandpa gave you, right? Why don't I have that? You have so much, can you give me some? I earned it myself, and the principal given by my uncle has been repaid a long time ago. As for Suzu, if you want pocket money, give it to grandpa and tell Uncle Sakakihara Raku has been enjoying the earnest gaze from his sister with a smile. It's so weird to ask for it from grandpa and uncle, Sakakibara Suzu emphasized, and then hugged Sakakibara's arms again. I'm not that shameless, but I'm a very decent person. Huh? Sakakibara glanced at her, then you have the nerve to ask your brother for it. How can my brother be the same? You are my best brother. Suzu, Raku Sakakihara shook her arm and her body followed suit. I will grab your brother, right? Elder brother. Sakakihara smiled and ignored her. Brother. Sakakibara still smiled and ignored her. Brother. I want it, brother, give it to me. Originally, Sakakihara Raku couldn't stand her coquettish attitude. In addition, this guy relies on his ability as a voice actor to try his best to express the eagerness of a child who wants something. Any boy who is a little protective in his heart will be moved by her voice. It's just that Sakakibara Raku is used to being called Stinky Lele and brother every day. Now that Aling calls herself this, she has goosebumps all over her body. Sakakibara quickly pushed her away. Okay. Didn't I just say I was going out? Didn't I take you out to buy things? Really? So good. Why are you lying to me? To be honest, if you have so much money now and don't spend it, what's the use of saving it? Isn't making money just to make your life better? So, change your clothes and set off quickly. Okay. Zhigzhu, come with me. As soon as Sakakihara Suzu heard this, she immediately agreed, stepped on the ground energetically, and pulled Minazuki into the bedroom together. They left the bedroom 15 minutes later. Suzu Sakakihara is wearing a light pink dress. She is carrying a small bag, a coat, a pair of white sneakers, a beret on her head, and her short green hair is pinned to the side with a hairpin. Tianhai's Higsu is a loose white women's shirt, paired with a brown coat vest and casual jeans. Her long beige hair was spread loosely, and her simple style exuded a light fragrance, but her eyes were a little confused, as if she hadn't decided where to go today. Sakakibara looked up and down. This outfit. Isn't it cute? As soon as Sakakihara Raku caught Sakakihara Suzu's gaze, she immediately made a scissor hand gesture over her eyes and threw a wink. Sakakihara made a gesture and flicked her forehead in mid-air, flicking her wink back. Sakakibara Suzu immediately made a gesture as if she had been shot. I'm talking about the snow. What? Zhigzu's outfit is very contrasting. Then I'm not cute. Sakakibara Suzu immediately stood in front of Sakakibara Raku. Sakakibara kept nodding, yeah, cute. Asterisk. Half an hour later. Ginza, Tokyo. Tall buildings and rows of shops are lined up, with flowing people and vast sounds. This is the most prosperous commercial center in Tokyo and the most luxurious avenue in Japan. Countless high-end department stores, five-star hotels, nightclubs, fashion brand stores and high-end restaurants are located here. In the sparkling windows, famous brands such as LV, Gucci, Chanel, etc. all display their brilliance and beautiful designs. Walking on the wide streets, Ginza's prosperity and luxury are everywhere. The towering glass curtain walls, the warm advertising screens, and the bright sunlight reflecting all reflect the sophistication and modernity of the modern city. Tianhai's Higsu rarely comes to such crowded areas and is full of curiosity about this place. The first place Sakakibara took them to was the Chanel cosmetics store that Suzu had always wanted to visit, specializing in various luxury goods for women. Before entering, Sakakihara Suzu said with some worry. Brother, whatever you say, I can buy whatever you want. That's not it, Raku Sakakihara said quite confidently. He glanced at the crystal clear glass booths in the cosmetics store. You can buy whatever you want today, and your brother will take care of it for you. Really, Sakakibara Suzu blinked, the cosmetics I want are very expensive, and I usually can't bear to buy them for myself. Ailing, didn't you feel very comfortable asking me for money just now? Just now, now is now. I would still be embarrassed if I asked you for money. Sakakibara could understand Suzu's mood. After all, there is no reward for no merit. If you enjoy benefits without doing anything, you will feel uneasy. Come on, what are you talking about when you arrive at the door of the store? I usually help you wash your skirts and you're not embarrassed. Just treat it as a gift from me. This can also be regarded as my fulfillment of my promise to buy you whatever you want when you were a child. Sakakihara Suzu has noticed that I really don't mind spending money to buy things for myself now. He also has a lot of money now and is a bit busy. Okay then, listen to you, brother. Sakakibara remembered that Tenkai Snow didn't seem to have as many maintenance items as Suzu, and Suzu had given them to her before. That's right, don't worry about this kind of thing now. I promised to take you with me. When we go out to buy things, naturally everything you buy will be covered. Just buys you something for your own use, we are not short of money now. Sakakibara Suzu took the initiative to hold Sakakibara Raku's hand. It's different now that I'm rich. I'm much more generous. I've always been generous. No way. No one would buy me a lollipop before. That's so poor. As soon as the few people entered, they were immediately greeted by a very decent-looking clerk. Welcome, do you need any help? Sakakihara Suzu took Amami no Yuki to talk about the needs. I'd like to take the liberty to ask, what price range do you need, or what series are you looking for? Sakakihara Suzu was well prepared and replied with a smile, I want to know about the Luxury Essence series. When the clerk heard this, she immediately became energetic and actively invited the two of them to experience it. They also specially asked other store employees to arrange a rest area for Sakakibara, with macaron cookies and coffee as desserts for rest. The decoration of the rest area is quite good, it is all white and surrounded by two green plants. Sitting here, you can see Suzu Sakakibara and Yuki Amami discussing cosmetics with the clerk over there. It's quite interesting to see them smearing it on their already fair faces. One set of cosmetics cost 320,000 yen, and two sets cost 640,000 yen. The merchant gave me a discount, so the total was 600,000 yen. When the clerk brought the POS machine, she swiped it and 600,000 yen was gone. I have never bought such expensive facial cleansers and essential oils. What does this mean? This trip was originally for a few people to show off their grand ambitions. Sweeping robot. Purchase. Dishwasher. Water purifier. Air purifier. Purchase. Ask someone to come and install it. Expensive clothing? 100,000 yen per piece. Purchase. 70,000 yen Dior sunglasses. Purchase. Buy two. A 1 million yen Dior handbag. Purchase. Buy it too. Patek Philippe's mechanical watch for women. 9 million yen. Purchase. Buy two different styles. Wait a minute, brother, although it looks good, it's not too expensive, right? Buy. Isn't that enough money for you to spend? I just transferred 200 million yen directly to your bank card and processed it yesterday. The relevant personnel said that it will be almost there this morning. It should be almost there now. True or not, Sakakibara Suzu's eyes widened, as if her eyes were about to fall to the ground. You transferred 200 million yen to me yesterday. Just take out your phone and take a look. Let me take a look. Sakakibara Suzu quickly handed all the things in her right hand to Amami Yuki, took out her phone and took a look. I actually saw the arrival information of 200 million yen from Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation an hour ago. It's true, there are so many zeros. Sakakibara Suzu was almost speechless when she saw so much money. Sakakibara Raku took the initiative to pat Sakakibara Suzu on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "It's that simple, follow your brother, eat and drink. As for some clothes and small jewelry, they are limited edition and special models. It's really not a big deal, as long as you say buy it, the clerk will immediately contact the store manager, who will then contact the headquarters, and the goods will be immediately transferred and mailed directly to your home." Sakakibara Raku has never experienced this kind of life. For my past self. As long as the things are always enough, those famous brands and luxury goods are all IQ taxes. But in fact, it was only now that he had so much cash at his disposal that he suddenly discovered it. This 9 million yen can be used as 9 yuan. When you see something you like, just buy it. Buying the best one and thinking so much about performance and market is just causing trouble for yourself. Anyway, someone will bring something up to compare. Aling, do you feel good? Cool. After only a few hours of shopping, Suzu Sakakibara and Yuki Amami already had various large and small bags of clothing and handbags from various luxury brands hanging on their arms. It can be described as wearing gold and silver. Raku Sakakibara looked back on the tiled floor on the third floor of the mall and realized that the two women already had a lot of new things on them. Passers-by couldn't help but take a second look when they saw the famous brands they were wearing. They were curious about which rich lady was out shopping and spending money. Suzu Sakakibara and Yuki Amami also wore Dior sunglasses with labels still on their faces. They look pretty cool wearing sunglasses. That is. Sakakibara touched his chin. What's wrong? Sakakibara Suzu asked. Well, I'm thinking now, why did we go out and buy so many things, but we still don't have any sense of consumption? We spent more than 20 million yuan after shopping for a long time. Sakakibara Suzu, Brother has changed. Really changed. In the past, when buying a bento, you had to check whether it was on sale, but now I just say I spent 20 million yen and I don't feel it. Sakakibara asked again, are you hungry? Sakakibara Suzu glanced at the woman's mechanical watch worth 9 million on her wrist. It's almost 12 o'clock. What high-end restaurant are you going to this time? Eat 3 Michelin stars, or eat in a private kitchen? Tianhai's Higsu, go to McDonald's. Asterisk. McDonald's. Put all kinds of brand name packaging bags on the ground. Raku Sakakibara ordered a grilled chicken drumstick set for each of them at the front desk, plus French fries, Coke, and several burgers, which cost 2,200 yen. Tianhai's Higsu enjoyed eating this the most. Sakakibara Suzu didn't have any objections, she also liked eating this kind of food. But actually now that I have purchased the items, Sakakibara still feels a little unenjoyed. There's too much money, I can't spend it all. Brother, what are you talking about? Well, how can I put it this way? I just feel like it's pointless for me to spend money on myself. I feel happier when I take you out. Huh? Brother, have you bought yourself good things before? No, the most expensive thing I bought was the motorcycle. Sakakibara Suzu gnawed on a burger and said while eating, brother, if you buy a motorcycle, then buy a car. Anyway, you are an adult and have passed the driver's license test. Your motorcycle cannot carry Higsu and me. Raku Sakakibara is currently 18, in the legal sense that has recently been revised. Adulthood indeed. Buying a car? What a great idea. Asterisk. Roppongi Hills. This is a high-end shopping mall that also has a showroom dedicated to selling various vehicles. There is a supercar club here and it is also a dealer that sells sports cars. Suzu Sakakihara learned about this place from chatting with her colleagues. It is said to be the largest supercar club in Japan and has the most complete range of supercar models in Tokyo. At present, this is indeed the case. This exhibition store is almost comparable to a large supermarket. Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, McLaren, Bugatti, Aston Martin, BMW, Mercedes-Benz. Top and second-tier supercars are reflected in the glass curtain wall. This is simply a sports car paradise. Sakakihara looked at it with great interest, and specifically asked Amamine Wayuki how she felt. She was quiet for a moment. I like it too. Right? Who doesn't like luxury cars? Sakakibara took the two of them to look outside for a while. They had just bought a transparent luxury car showroom when a female salesperson came over. She was very polite and noticed who was taking the lead among the three at the first glance. She lowered her three-quarter attitude and said, "Welcome, sir, do you want to buy a car? I am Mamako Tamaki, you can just call me by my name. This is my name card. Sakakibara, these two are my sisters." Hello. Tamaki Sales took another look at the clothing and specific circumstances of the people. The man is quite handsome, and his face is a bit childish, but it is not difficult to see that he has a clean feeling all over his body. His face is undoubtedly handsome, and his smile gives people a warm feeling like the sun. The two sisters are both beautiful, too. Combined with the age of several people. As an experienced salesperson, she could guess the current identities of several people at a glance, and behaved more appropriately and seriously. Can you please tell me, sir, your needs, or psychological price, and brand preferences? We haven't considered this yet. Can we discuss it? Of course, Sales Tamaki replied immediately, and made a gesture of invitation. There is a rest area here, you can take a rest, you can call me if you need it. Sakakihara followed the sales around and entered a rest room. If I read correctly, this is some sort of VIP area. Of course, it doesn't clearly say VIP, but from the level of decoration, it can be called VIP. Several people sat down here. Brother, do you really want to buy these expensive cars? My uncle only drives an Audi A6. Buy it, why not buy it? If you buy it, there will always be a day when you need to drive it. Usually when we go to school, we take the tram, which is pretty good, but if we want to travel or something, it's also good to go on a self-driving trip. Sakakibara Suzu dragged her chin and thought carefully, I don't think so. It feels better to travel by train. In fact, what Aling said makes sense, from a practical point of view. There is absolutely no need to buy such an expensive car. But I think the sports car is quite handsome. Hey, bro, it would be great if you drove a sports car to pick me up at the company. What if a handsome guy drove a sports car to pick me up after get off work? Although it's a bit ridiculous, but in the real world, everyone would be envious. What sister doesn't want to have a talented and wealthy brother who can also take care of her? What do you think of Yuki? Sakakihara Suzu asked. Tianhai's Higsu shook her head, saying that she didn't know. Asking's Higsu is actually useless. She has no experience in this area and cannot make the decision. Then what car does Grandpa usually take? Expensive car. Yuki probably didn't know the make of that car. However, after her reminder, Sakakibara thought that there was no need to worry so much. Aling. Ah. When we were kids, how did we feel when we saw those cool sports cars? I think they are all driven by rich people. We can't afford them, and we can't touch them. If we steal a car sticker, it will be enough for us for a year. So, I think there's no point in us dwelling on this. Just buy what's cool, what's good, what's cool. Then buy a sports car? Buy a Lamborghini, Suzu Sakakihara tried to ask. Buy it? Just Bugatti. Think of it as fulfilling our childhood dreams as brothers and sisters. This is good. When Tamaki heard that he actually wanted to buy a Bugatti, he was elated and even more enthusiastic. Excuse me, what model do you want specifically? Sakakibara Suzu blurted out, flying bolide. Sakakihara asked quietly, is that thing expensive? Suzu Sakakihara replied without hesitation, there are only 40 units in the world. Only sold for 4 million euros. As the salesperson of the supercar club, Tamaki Sales certainly understands what Miss Sakakibara refers to as the flying meteor. Of course, although she was very excited inside, she also maintained her good qualities on the surface. Please wait a moment, you three. I need to ask my superiors for instructions. At this stage, there is no record of this model being sold in Japan. I understand. Just 3 minutes later, a man in a suit and tie, holding a book of information, but with an obviously more unique temperament, came over. He handed the information in his hand to Tamaki Sales, shook hands with Raku Sakakibara in front of him, and asked politely. Mr. Sakakibara, do you want a Bugatti Veyron bolide? I, Kitano Nobuhide, am the manager of this sports car club. Bugatti bolide, translated from localized processing, is flying bolide. As a manager, he has seen many wealthy people and young masters from wealthy families who come here to buy sports cars over the years. Obviously, the person in front of me is attributed to the status of a young master from a wealthy family. He sounded very respectful. Mr. Sakakibara, our club has been in contact with various car companies for a long time. According to my information, this sports car is currently only sold in France. If you need it, you may have to wait for a while, because you need to wait for a while on the way. Transportation, and a professional team to provide guarantee and other services for your sports car. According to Bugatti's original requirements, if Mr. Sakakibara wants to buy the Firebolt, he needs to discuss customization needs with us, and then Mr. Sakakibara can follow us or we go to France on your behalf, pay the deposit, and finally configure your exclusive sports car from brake calipers to exterior design, leather, stitching, etc. Simply put, I just want to own this sports car. You need to make a reservation in advance, and then discuss customization needs with the car company. The car company will build it exclusively according to the owner's ideas. The specific landing price of the vehicle is about 5 million euros, maybe a little higher. Do you think you can accept it? I estimate that it will take half a year to pick up the car. 5 million euros, which is 720 million yen. Sakakibara assessed the resources he had. Regardless of the amount of money that points could be exchanged for, even if he didn't use this, if it took a while, the money would really be nothing. And these things are all earned by oneself. He didn't use his capital, and he still had some valuable company stocks that he didn't sell. The flowers are also at ease. But half a year. To be honest, half a year is too long. Yes, Raku Sakakihara nodded after thinking, I understand, but I'm impatient. Can you hurry up? This Kitano Nobuhide glanced at the saleswoman next to him, and then replied seriously, well, I can ask Mr. Sakakibara. Please take a seat in the VIP room here first, and we can connect with Bugatti. I need to ask you some specific details, please come here. Kitano Nobuhide led several people into the VIP room again. After leaving, he quickly brought a bunch of information over and dialed the number of the sales department of the Bugatti car company in front of several people. Thanks. Miss Sakakibara, you're welcome, sales Tamaki said with a smile. Suzu Sakakihara took the fruits and snacks from the saleswoman and listened to the Kitano manager talking to the person opposite in English. The general content is that the headquarters does have an existing car. But if you want one, the buyer needs to provide some information and background. Manager Kitano conveyed this idea to Sakakihara Raku again and patiently explained it. After hearing this, Sakakihara understood what the car company meant. There are twists and turns, which means that the car cannot be picked up and it will take a long time. Sakakibara knows that these big-name car companies have a certain style, and it's really not something you can buy if you have money. Have to find other ways. Regarding family matters, Tianhaimadayan told him that if he wanted to do anything, just contact Uncle Ying. Sakakibara stood up and walked to the other end of the VIP room, took out his mobile phone and dialed Sakura's number. Beep after 2 beeps, the call was quickly connected. Uncle Sakura, Sakakibara shouted immediately. Uncle Ying's kind voice soon came from the other end of the phone. It turns out to be the young master. This is the first time that the young master has called me. What's the important matter? Raku Sakakihara conveyed his thoughts and current situation. Yeah. I understand. The young master wants to buy a sports car, right? Yes, I don't know Uncle Ying. Don't worry, young master. The lady has entrusted me to handle these matters for her before. Which dealer did the young master buy it from? It was indeed very comfortable to talk to Uncle Ying. He would not ask about the reasons, nor would he ask whether this was approved by the master or the young master, nor would he ask where the money came from. Uncle Ying just does what he should do perfectly. Sakakihara Raku said the name of the store. The reply from the other end of the phone came quickly, I understand. The young master can give the phone to the manager, and the matter will be done quickly. If nothing happens, the young master can get it within 3 days at most. Something you want? Is the Tianhai family so powerful? Kitano Nobuhide took the phone from Sakakibara Raku. He chatted with Uncle Sakura for about 5 minutes, and then he asked Tamaki Sales to quickly find paper and pen and record a French phone number. According to this number, I called again and chatted for about 10 minutes. Call. After the last cross-country call, Kitano Nobuhide breathed a long sigh of relief and handed the phone back to Raku Sakakibara more respectfully. Mr. Sakakibara, I have already communicated with the car company's headquarters. Now you just need to talk to us, discuss the details of customizing the sports car, pay a deposit of 200,000 euros, and I'll leave it to them, and within 3 days at most, a special plane will deliver what you want. Don't worry about the license plates, there will be several license plates for you. Choose. Sakakibara nodded. It took about 2 hours of discussion. Sakakihara Raku took Sakakihara Suzu's advice into account and replaced everything in the car with things she thought were good. After sorting out the information, Manager Kitano stood up and said, Mr. Sakakihara, ladies, I'm going to submit the information to the car company now. Please wait here for a moment. No problem. After Manager Kitano left, there were only 3 people left in the VIP room. Amami no Yuki fell asleep, and her whole body fell on Sakakibara Raku's lap. And Suzu Sakakihara was still in a state of excitement. She thought that her brother actually bought a sports car worth 5 million euros with such a large sum, and all the details were customized by her own desires, and there were countless people who customized them according to their own wishes. The request for action still has a dreamy feel to this day. Brother, I don't even have that much money if you sell me. Sakakibara put down his pen and smiled, aren't you very happy? Humph, it feels so special. I feel relieved when I think that that bastard dad abandoned us for just 40 million yen. My brother just waved his hand casually and it was 700 million. His 40 million doesn't count. What? The winning tax hasn't been deducted yet. My brother can kill him with money. Seeing his sister looking so proud, Sakakihara laughed and said, be happy. More than happy, it's simply revenge. How about I give this car to you, Ailing? I'll write your name on the car, Ailing. Sakakibara Suzu froze on the spot, staring at Sakakibara Le, unable to even blink. Brother, this is 700 million, you just gave it to me. Sakakibara put his head in his hands, leaned against the leather sofa behind him, and relaxed his body. After relaxing hard, he smiled at his sister and asked, "No. This is 700 million." Sakakihara Suzu emphasized again, her eyes did not have the earnest light in the early morning, only questioning. "So what if it's 700 million? You don't want to own a sports car that is extremely dazzling in all of Tokyo? When your car goes out, the whole of Tokyo will know that it's you, Suzu Sakakihara, who's in it." 7 billion. Sakakihara Suzu wanted to confirm on her brother's face whether his words were true. "I'm not joking." Sakakihara Suzu opened her mouth wide and remained silent for a long time, finally confirming that he was indeed not joking. "Why did you give it to me? Although I do like sports cars, don't you seem to like them more, Aling? I can see from the discussion about the interior details of the vehicle with Manager Kitano just now that you actually like this kind of thing." Sakakibara Raku actually doesn't care about the 700 million. Not to mention that he can make money easily now, even if it is the entire principal, there is no problem in giving it to his sister. 700 million can buy another Firebolite. But can 700 million buy another Aling? It's out of the question. After so many years of getting along, the relationship between brother and sister is no longer something that money can explain. In Suzu Sakakibara's mind, the weight of these 700 million would have to rise to another level. Because this can be regarded as the money he earned and saved, right? Even if finance is very powerful now, 700 million is still a huge amount of money. A huge amount of money that can last a lifetime without any effort. And this stinky old man in front of me could actually give it to him with a smile so easily. When Sakakihara Suzu thought of this, she was not sighing at how huge the money was. "But I thought of the past. In the past, Sakakihara Raku was like this, giving everything to himself again and again. Whether it's his pocket money, the extra piece of meat in his bowl, or his first job, the rabbit doll he buys for himself when he has money is for himself. Idiot, still the same idiot." Sakakihara Suzu could only evaluate him like this in her heart. "I do not want." "Huh? This is 700 million. Aling, you don't want it?" "I don't want it," Suzu Sakakibara repeated. "Brother, you can keep it for yourself. I don't drive. Normally I'd be satisfied if you took me out for a ride. Besides, why did you give me everything? You're so stupid." "Well, wouldn't it be nice to leave something for yourself? And you've already given me so much money, but I haven't given you anything yet." Sakakihara smiled. "It's not like you don't know, this is my personality." "You. Hey. Stop it, don't say why I'm so good to you. If you want to ask why, it's just because we met and spent a period of time with memories, and we still stay together day and night. There is something in between. There are too many feelings and things, and these are the most important things between you and me. In short, in one sentence." Sakakibara coughed, looked at Amamayuki who was sleeping on his lap, and said in a normal tone, "You are my sister." What a stupid old man. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 306. Does Le need a leg kick? Monday, 6 o'clock in the morning. When Raku Sakakihara heard the sound, he paused his study, turned his seat in one direction, and looked at Amaminazuki sitting on the bed in his bedroom. He said patiently, "Yuki, you have asked this question no less than 20 times in the past few days." Yetian Higgs nodded. My answer is still the same. Although I like it very much, but after all, I feel very awkward accepting your attentive service without any reward. I also accepted the gift from Ellie. Didn't you serve me once yesterday? You handed me tea and water, that's enough. Not enough. Enough. Not enough. Enough. Not enough. Sakakihara suddenly felt a little sore in his neck. Okay, come over and give me a squeeze on my shoulder. Tianhai's Higsu put her hands on her sides and immediately got out of bed. Just as Sakakihara turned his chair back, leaning back, a pair of small hands were placed on both sides of his neck. This feeling of comfort makes people want to tremble all over, as if all the burden on the body is released in her small hands in an instant. Kojiki's strength is actually not small at all. Although it was just an unskilled squeeze on the shoulders, the level of comfort was many times more comfortable than the massage machines on the market. Yuki. Sakakibara raised his shoulders from side to side, enjoying the feeling of pure relaxation, and called the girl behind him. Minazuki didn't answer, but Sakakibara knew she was listening. Do you still remember what I said to you these days? Remember? Then do you understand? I understand a little bit. Well, I know it's hard for you to understand so many of my words, but you just need to understand our current relationship. Le is an older brother, just like Ling, so he can't be his girlfriend. Yes, yes, do you agree with this point of view? Agree. That's good. As Raku Sakakibara enjoys the relaxation of his body, he is also relaxing in his mind. The relaxing part is that for many days, Tianhai's Higsu's performance has been normal. He didn't get under the covers, and he didn't say he liked himself again. Some are simply requests for a burger or fried ice cream on weekdays. Yuki her. His love for her has been correctly guided to the kind of love that a normal brother and sister would have. What a comforting thing. Sakakibara turned around again and saw Amamiwa Yuki's young face. Yuki. She really has to compliment her mother on the name she gave her. It really fits the image of the girl now. The facial features are exquisite, the eyes are clear and bright, the slender eyebrows are slightly curved, and the slender face is outlined by smooth lines, just like a new painting that was just born, and the eyes are full of delicate aura. Plus she always forgets to put on her shoes when she gets out of bed. Every time she gently steps on the ground, the soft and delicate pink soles of her feet make a slight sound, which always reminds people of the lightness of stepping on the snow. Sakakibara noticed her small feet. Why don't you wear shoes? Tianhai's Higsu also lowered his head and glanced at his feet. Le asked before. Is there any? I don't like wearing it, Tianhai's Higsu answered again. When she said this, Sakakihara Raku really remembered that she had indeed answered this. Even's Higsu remembers it. Why don't I remember it? Tired of staring at the stock market lately? It's probably because I woke up too early today and my head hasn't recovered yet. Sakakibara stood up with his hands on his knees, stretched his waist, then looked outside at the sun that was stronger than usual and said. It's May, the sun is getting bigger and bigger. Yuki, go and wake up Ling. After dinner, we go to school. Good. Kitchen. Sakakihara Raku flipped the omelette while reviewing the events of the past 2 days. I bought a €5 million sports car the day before yesterday. I happen to be arriving at the airport tomorrow. I took the time to pick up the car after school in the afternoon. The two girls, Amami Yuki and Sakakihara Suzu, have been quite idle recently. At home on Sunday, the three of them either played games or played music, sang together songs, held parties, and helped Xiao's Higsu upload videos. Occasionally we get together to play Monopoly, sing songs, and so on. Raku Sakakibara thinks she has a good voice, but she really can't compare to Suzu's singing skills. Monopoly is a great time to play, but Ling is always the first to go bankrupt. Every time she would cross her legs, hug her face, and say in annoyance, "Why me again?" and then watch herself and Tianhai's Higsu get married in the game of life and reach the pinnacle of life. These past few days have indeed been the happiest days Sakakihara Raku has felt in recent times. He couldn't help but think, if Chi Minjio and Juliuli didn't quarrel, they could get together and play games happily like Suzu and Higsu now, right? Raku Sakakihara suddenly missed traveling to Kyoto and the time we spent together taking photos and camping at the foot of Mount Fuji. Everyone is smiling and everyone gets along harmoniously. But this beautiful vision does not exist at the moment, and according to the little information revealed by the uncle, Tianhai Juliuli and Tianhai Kaimingyu are now completely in two factions at home. They are basically incompatible with each other, and there is no sign of the war consuming them. And standing between the two of them, he couldn't use his hands or feet at all. In fact, there is no need to completely reconcile Kiju at this stage. As long as they cool down the smoke a little, it would be good to establish a common goal. Perhaps. I really need to find a third person to help. Sakakibara Raku looked at Amamayuki, who had just called out Sakakibara's Suzu. After breakfast, we went to school together. Today is Monday, and the weather in early May is even hotter than expected. The sun pricked my cheeks like needles. Most of the students changed their clothes and switched to the regular summer school uniform of white shirts and light jackets. After 5 classes in the morning, at 10 o'clock at noon, I was in the student cafeteria. Suzu Sakakihara took off her coat, showing off her slender shoulders as a girl wearing only a white shirt. As a well-known beautiful girl in the school, she walked through the transparent cafeteria hall with a lunchbox in her hand, under the gaze of many male classmates, came to Amaminazuki, and sat opposite Sakakibara Raku. She put the bento in front of her, looked at Raku Sakakibara, who had been sitting here with confusion, and muttered, "Why don't we eat lunch in class? The 3 of us can pull up a table and eat at the same table. If that doesn't work, I can also pull Tiano on. 4 people can join together to form a big table. It's not convenient in the classroom," Raku Sakakihara replied, holding his chopsticks. "The main reason for coming to the cafeteria is to make it easier for us to talk." Tianhai's Higsu ate cubed potatoes. "Why are you so cautious?" Sakakihara Suzu was even more confused. "Why is it inconvenient to be in the classroom? Don't tell me that you have some ulterior secrets that you want to discuss with us." Ahem, Raku Sakakibara puffed out his chest and waist, intending to lighten the atmosphere. He raised his voice slightly, "You're right, Suzu, I have an idea." "Stop it." Sakakibara Suzu extended her palm to interrupt him, with a suspicious look on her face. "People who say this often don't end well. You first tell me your thoughts and purposes, and then tell me your good ideas." Sakakihara dragged his chin and continued, "I had this idea before. It's just that due to some things and conscience, it's hard to implement it. But now I think it's ready to start. Talk to people." Sakakihara Suzu's eyes were half closed, turning into dead fish eyes. "I think it's time for Chi Minjio and Juliuli to calm down." "In no mood." "Aling. It's no use calling me by my nickname." Sakakibara Suzu crossed her arms and turned her face away angrily. "I just don't want to. If they beat them, what does it have to do with me?" "Suzu, when we traveled to Kyoto, weren't we all very happy? You were still called Sister Juliuli." Sakakibara knew that she was angry. Sakakihara Suzu did not deny that she was indeed very happy during that time. Sakakihara Suzu also admitted in her heart that they were her family. But, she just doesn't want the 2 of them to reconcile now. Because it doesn't do you any good. Sakakihara Suzu turned back to look at her brother's face and whispered, "Higsu and I are not enough to play with you at home. Why should we bring them together? That's not the reason." "What's the reason? Do you like them?" Seeing her brother's response, Sakakihara Suzu's hands involuntarily tightened her pleated skirt. She knew that she was very important in her brother's heart. But this is not all important. It's not the kind of thing that you can abandon everything for. This feeling is really strange and uncomfortable. I want to rely on all my sincerity, but I can't get all the responses. It felt like there was an empty space in my heart. It will also make people involuntarily place their status in his heart lower. Even though Sakakihara Suzu knew that her brother's feelings for her were not so shallow at all. If possible, Sakakibara Suzu wanted Sakakihara Raku to completely listen to her words, and he would always put her sincere advice to him first. But there is no doubt that the brother who used to take care of him wholeheartedly has been torn into several pieces. Suzu Sakakihara felt sad about this. Stupid brother. What a stupid old man. They disrespect you so much, yet you still want to reconcile with them. While Sakakihara Suzu was dissatisfied with these, she could not help but feel the ardent expectation she had always had in her heart. If it's possible, just say it's possible. Brother, is it possible that you will just ignore their affairs and take me far away? Then you can be my brother for the rest of your life, and I can be your sister for the rest of your life. Games, travel, talking. As long as you want, we can accompany you and accomplish whatever we can. Brother and sister can spend this kind of warm time together every day. Sakakibara looked at his sister's face that had been silent for a long time. Suzu. So annoying. If you don't want to, I won't force you at all. Aling, this is just asking for your opinion. Well, think about it carefully, haven't you been prepared for this kind of thing? And although Chi Minjia was rude, she was also kind to herself. Julie Yulai also bought a lot of things for herself and gave a lot of clothes as gifts. Don't you treat them as family members? There is no way that everyone was really happy during their trip to Kyoto, traveling and playing music together. What's the blame? I can only blame my own identity. This is a destined thing. Sakakihara Suzu took a deep breath. I didn't say I didn't agree. But I have conditions. First of all, I didn't say let them come back. Secondly, it doesn't mean that I agree with your scumbag idea. Although I don't mind that you are a scumbag, it doesn't mean that I will agree. You marry too. In the end, the most I can do is help them reconcile. After all, they make fun of them in school every day, and I am sometimes affected by it when I stand aside, which is annoying to death. Sakakihara was stunned for a moment, then said with a smile, I thought you were struggling with something. Don't worry, I didn't say I wanted to come into contact with Chi Minjio and Julie Yulai. Sakakibara Suzuki raised her face, then you are still thinking of asking them to calm down? Let me tell you, brother, if you can't think of a way, just leave them alone. I want to say that I have figured out a way. Sakakihara shifted his gaze. Find a way? It's impossible. If you can think of a way, I will. Sakakibara Suzu's eyes followed Sakakibara Raku's gaze, and her voice stopped abruptly. The two of them looked at Tianhai's Higsu who was eating corn at the same time. Dot. Dot. The brother and sister stared at the still quiet Tianhai's Higsu, both silent. It was quiet for a while. I asked you, brother, what bad idea are you thinking of? This is not a bad idea. This is the only good idea that can give the two of them a break at this stage. Your so-called good idea is to use Yuki. This is too ugly to say. This is not called taking advantage. Didn't I bring you all into this discussion? Everyone knows the basics. What does it mean to take advantage of me? That makes sense. Do you really just want them to just chill out? Otherwise, it's not like you don't know that I really want to do that, but how many obstacles are there to prevent me from completing it? Uncle, Grandpa, and Mom, none of them can agree with my idea. So, just let Chi Minjio and Julie Yulai stop. Whispering sound. Scumbag Lele. Brother, I admit that your good idea may indeed be effective. But you are currently in a relationship with Julie Yulai at school. If this happens, spread the word. Sakakibara Raku didn't care, isn't he just a scumbag? Many people have said that I am a scumbag who has 3 things to do. Some people have also speculated whether I have a special relationship with Zyuki. Now I just put this part into perspective. It's just a matter of putting it out there. Sakakihara Suzu rolled her eyes at her brother. Then your good idea must be approved by Yuki, right? She is willing? And I always feel that it is not appropriate to let Yuki come. Why? That's it, a girl's intuition. Sakakihara Raku, there is really no need to be afraid. It's not like you haven't seen how I guided Yuki after so many days. If not, you can ask Yuki yourself. She won't lie. What is she saying? Just ask her now. What feelings do you have for me? Sakakihara Suzu looked at her brother for a while, and then shouted, Yuki, Yuki. Amamai no Yuki grabbed the corn, raised her head, faced Sakakibara Suzu's little face, and tilted her head slightly in confusion. There were many classmates carrying dinner plates around. Sakakihara Suzu lowered her voice and asked, what is your feeling for my brother now? Amamai no Yuki went to see Sakakibara Raku again, and then replied calmly and quietly, Raku is my older brother. Sakakibara immediately clapped her hands. Look. She knows that I am an older brother to her now, and I am also very good at guiding the boundaries of her so-called sister. Sakakihara Suzu was dissatisfied. Why do I always feel like you are hinting at me? There's no hint. I just think you've done a pretty good job in this area. Suzu Sakakibara smiled. You really don't want to pick up any of the pots. That's all. Sakakihara Suzu sighed deeply, and then took the initiative to say to Amamai Yuki, Yuki, I have an idea to tell you. What? That's it? If you've been away recently, can you act more close to my brother? About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 307. Amamai no Yuki seemed to have had her brain shut down for a long time, and then she kept looking left and right at the 2 people's faces before she finally understood what Sakakibara Suzu meant. Okay, Amamai no Yuki agreed, her eyes finally falling on Sakakibara Raku's face. Sakakihara Suzu, who originally thought she would have to explain to her for a long time, suddenly felt relieved. Okay. Originally, I thought you didn't agree, so I would spend a lot of time explaining it to you. But in order to avoid misunderstanding, I think it's better to just briefly outline why you did what you did. Sakakihara Suzu sat upright and thought about what she wanted to say. Yuki, I want you to get close to my brother. Essentially, it's to calm down Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai, who are quarreling so much. The 2 sisters need a unified goal to fight against. Only in this way, it would be impossible for them to resolve the conflict. Only then can conflicts be alleviated. After all, they all quarreled because of my brother. If the 2 of them knew that my brother had a new love, then why would they fight? It would be meaningless at all. Sakakihara Suzu explained this, but she actually had some selfish motives in her heart. When her brother mentioned this bad idea, it only took her 2 minutes to think it through. This bad idea is not necessarily a bad thing. The idea of using the snow to cause Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai to misunderstand may prompt them to reconcile, or it may make them both give up at the same time. There are only 2 results to this guidance. 1. The situation between 1979 and 1979 eased. 2. When Kiju saw her brother looking for a new love, she was filled with grief and anger. She was completely done with her brother. Sakakihara Suzu was happy when she thought about this second result. How wonderful it is to be finished. By then, neither fox will bother his brother again. It's a brilliant plan that kills two birds with one stone. Wonderful. Anyway, Sakakihara Suzu has figured it out, and her brother's bad idea won't have much impact on her. The former won't cause much loss, while the latter is simply profitable. It's worth a try. Sakakihara Suzu continued to emphasize, that's it? In the past few days, you should get closer to my brother as a sister. It is best to let Chi Minjio and Juliuli see something. Amami no Yuki moved her gaze from Sakakibara Suzu's face to Sakakibara Raku's face again, and blinked. Want to get closer to Le? Ahem, Raku Sakakihara was a little obscured by her gaze, and coughed twice to cover up the embarrassment. Yes, it's just like Suzu said. Of course, Yuki, your identity is still sister. It's just that when showing it to Chi Minjio and Juliuli, there is no need to mention this identity deliberately, they will think wrong on their own. OK Tianhai's Hixu continued to eat corn. Sakakihara Raku and Sakakihara Suzu had lunch again and chatted for a while about the details of this plan. It is confirmed that there will be an indoor swimming class in the physical education class tomorrow afternoon. By then, Juliuli and Nanamayu will be there, and Hixu will be able to ask Sakakibara Raku to provide special guidance on the grounds that he cannot swim. The two sisters will definitely be jealous by then. Yes, perfect plan. Brother, two foxes are here. Sakakibara Suzu lowered her voice and kicked Sakakibara Raku opposite with her legs under the dining table. Raku Sakakibara turned around and looked across the queue at the front desk of the cafeteria, seeing Amami Kuruori and Amami Nanamajetsu, who had just walked into the student cafeteria. With her Western-style school uniform, bow tie, pleated skirt, knee-length stockings, long flaxen hair and hard-to-ignore temperament, she still stands out among the students. But I don't know if these two girls were deliberately competing with each other, but they were destined to come to the cafeteria at the same time despite not having an appointment. They are truly telepathic twins. No matter what you do, you will hit each other. After discovering each other, the two girls with identical faces only glanced at each other. He turned around and left without looking back. Tianhai Kaimingyu went to the pasta area to order. Tianhai Juliuli went to the set meal area to order. I haven't seen them for a long time. Didn't you just see me in the morning? Sakakihara Suzu rolled her eyes and turned to look at the two of them. Sakakibara looked away. So, Suzu, what do you want me to do? Let me chat with them, or bring them over to eat together. Brother, you are stupid. Didn't you just have a plan? Didn't you practice it? Sakakibara understood what Suzu meant. She was afraid that she and Hixu wouldn't cooperate well and wouldn't act the same. What's so good about practicing? There is still an internship period in the relationship. Are you embarrassed to pretend to be intimate? Sakakihara Suzu didn't believe it at all. Looking at my sister's completely disbelieving face, Sakakibara was wondering whether he should sleep with Yuki in his arms at night and told her, although he didn't know it at the time. Think about it carefully and forget it. One more thing is worse than one less thing. Asterisk. It only took Tianhai Juliuli and Tianhai Kaimingyu 5 minutes to order. Juliuli ordered the ordinary hamburger set meal. She took the plate from the front desk and said thank you. When she turned around, she saw Sakakibara and the others. At the same time, I saw Tianhai Kaimingyu opposite, who had finished ordering noodles and was about to find a seat. Amami Kuruori didn't even look at her, and walked directly to where Sakakibara Raku and the others were sitting and sat down. Then Amami Nanamizuki saw her sister sitting next to Sakakibara Raku, and also sat down directly in front of her. As soon as the food in their hands was put on the table, Minghai Juliuli was smiling brightly, but the situation was extremely anxious. It's been such a long time no see, July. Sister, too. I wonder what my sister is doing at home these days. Sleeping. July, this is dash. Stop. A hand was placed between the two sisters, and Sakakihara Suzu withdrew her hand without a good expression. She said rudely to the twin sisters directly, "It's been a long time since I've been back to school, and we quarreled whenever we met. In the morning I saw that something was wrong with you in the class. As expected, you were still upset at noon. You should go to the next table to get upset. Go get angry, we don't welcome you to quarrel here." Tianhai Julie Yulai and Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't say anything after hearing this and kept quiet. Although this dining table can seat 6 people, Suzu Sakakihara doesn't want them to come. Their arrival will ruin the friendly atmosphere between the 3 of them. By the way, don't forget that uncle's words are still in effect. You are forbidden to have close contact with my brother. Sakakibara Suzu has reached this point, but Tianhai Jurili and Tiankai Minjio still don't understand what she means. "Okay, listen." Tianhai Julie Yulai looked at her sister again. "Kyo, I don't want to quarrel with you right away. What my sister said, you must first believe it yourself." Chi Minjio originally sat here because her sister didn't want to bow her head and admit defeat, so she followed her. After Sakakihara Suzu said this, she stood up directly and went to sit at a dining table on the left. There was a third-year senior at this table. When he saw the visitor, he had no intention of giving up his seat. When he saw it was the 7 bright moons of Tianhai, he immediately moved his position obediently. Tianhai Julie Yulai was similar, but she asked her junior more politely to make room for her. Seeing the 2 sisters sitting on the left and right sides, Sakakibara Suzu turned around and said dissatisfiedly to Sakakibara Raku, "Brother, look at it, the 2 of them started quarreling as soon as they came here and never stopped." "Indeed it is. Then why don't you take advantage of this to make them bitter? Why do you feel so excited for no reason?" "No need for that, we'll talk about it in physical education class tomorrow." Asterisk. Evening. After dinner. Today Amami no Yuki wants to wash her hair. It is impossible to ask a Suzu, a lazy person, to do this. Naturally, this task falls on Sakakibara Raku. Pulling up his sleeves and squeezing shampoo into his hands, Sakakihara kept grabbing Amami no Yuki's little head. He helped her wash her hair quietly and let her take a bath by herself. Sakakibara forgot to take out the pajamas he washed for her yesterday from the washing machine this morning. It was still cold after returning home from school, so Tianhai's Higsu faced the dangerous situation of having no pajamas to wear. It's okay not to wear it. As long as Ailing is at home, you can wear clothes or not, but when I'm at home, you have to dress me. The underwear is dry. Here it is for you, take it. Passing Zayuki's underwear through the crack in the door, Sakakihara went to her room and got her a t-shirt. This time, at the door of the bathroom, she discovered that Tianhai's Higsu had already put on a white shirt that was obviously too big for her figure, and stood out with her wet pink and white feet. Tianhai's Higsu's hair was wet, and the water on her body was not wiped off. A large area of her white shirt was stained, and many water droplets slid down the full lines of her thighs. The water droplets on her long beige hair also dripped next to her 2 feet, under a white button that was not fastened at all. Her pink belly button could be clearly seen through the gap. Sakakibara looked at her up and down, and apart from her white and pink skin, he only saw her soaked appearance. "You don't need to rinse your hair with water again when you take a shower. And why did you put on the shirt I changed into? I came out and saw the clothes. Then you put it on? Didn't you know it was mine? It's fun to know. Well, Yuki dressed like this on purpose. I just changed out of these clothes today. I also went for a run, and they smell bad. It smells good on me. It smells so good. It smells like Father Sunday. Return to Father Son. What a kid. Plug it in and press the 3rd gear. Tianhai's Higsu's hair is fluttering under the hot air of the hair dryer. AHH. Whenever this happens, Tianhai's Higsu will make this lazy sound like a groundhog. Why do you make this sound every time you blow dry your hair, bangs Higsu? Very comfortable. Do you feel comfortable drying your hair? It's very comfortable to have Le around. Yuki, I find that you talk a lot when you are with me. Why do you have almost nothing to say when you get along with everyone? I don't know what to say. Then it would be interesting to talk to me. Well, Tianhai's Higsu nodded, shaking his 2 feet up and down on the bed, because when I am alone with Le will ask me many questions, many unknown questions and things I don't know. So that's it? Do you still remember what I said to you? Le is my brother. Yes, Sakakibara confirmed again, I know that Yuki is dependent on me. I also said that I will not resist your closeness. I will treat you like a belle. His words. It has been repeated many times in Tianhai's Higsu's brain. But for so many days, Amami no Yuki didn't act as close to Sakakihara Suzu. This couldn't help but remind her of what Zhongling had said to herself. Happy. Huh, Sakakihara continued to help her blow dry her hair. Close. How close? You are concerned about what happened at noon, right? Being close is actually very simple. You can give me a pat on the back, which is a kind of closeness. Just hugging me, rubbing your face, acting coquettishly, etc. is also closeness. Raku Sakakibara said this. With some emotion, actually, Yuki, Chi Minjio and Juliuli have been quarreling these days, so I can only get the long-lost peace when I'm alone with you. What is that? The feeling of calm is the feeling of calm. There is no noise or argument, and I am never asked to do anything. I just stay so quietly, occasionally looking at the seagulls outside the window in a daze, and occasionally staring at the seagulls on the telephone poles. The crow is in a daze, very pure, and very obedient. Tianhai's Higsu's feet shaking up and down stopped. Rakia Sakakihara just happened to blow dry her long hair. Okay, Higsu, you can go to bed. Good night, I have to get up early tomorrow. Happy. How? Before the words what were uttered, Sakakibara looked at Amami Nazuki's petite back and fell on his lap. She seemed to be deliberately imitating Sakakibara Suzu, who was lying on her lap before, and turned over, with her face facing Sakakibara Raku above. Amami no Yuki blinked her beautiful eyes at Raku Sakakibara. She was lying on her lap like a snow-white cat. His eyes were slightly illuminated by the electric light above his head. Sakakibara lowered his head to look at the petite face on his lap, the curious eyes looking at him from top to bottom. Don't drive me away. Sakakihara paused for 2 seconds and said with a smile, I didn't say I wanted to drive you away. Brother Leke. I know. I told you so. This is what Ling said, get closer. That's another matter. Don't worry, I told you I won't drive you away. Sakakihara Raku probably drove Yuki out of bed too many times, causing her to feel insecure about driving her away even with such a common contact. After hearing his words, Tianhai's Higsu blinked twice more. More polished. Is this considered intimacy? That's right. Do you like this, Ling? Sakakihara Raku felt that Yuki was lying on his lap like a child, and he couldn't help but change his tone into the tone of an elder brother telling a story to his younger sister. Ling, she rarely does this recently. I was actually quite surprised by the Ling you saw a while ago. But I can still guarantee that Ling used to like to roll on me. When she was a child, she especially liked to stick on me. She would sleep with me in her arms. She was also very afraid of thunder, so she would get into my arms every time and ask me to hold her to sleep. Amami no Yuki could relate to the scene Sakakibara Raku was talking about before her. Sakakihara Raku actually thought about it carefully. Wasn't Zayuki's feelings for him similar to a child's dependence? Higsu, who has no common sense and stays at home all the time, likes to get into bed like a child. It's just that she is older. Occasionally, it also has a hint of girlish underbelly. She calls it natural black. Happy. Amami no Yuki suddenly hugged Sakakibara Raku's waist and moved her face closer to his belly. How? I want to take a nap. No, it's better if you go back to your room and sleep. If you fall asleep, you will really fall asleep later. I know I can't wake you up. Want sleep? No, Sakakibara clearly felt her hugging him a little tighter. Want to sleep? Amami no Yuki smelled Sakakibara Raku's scent. Yuki, are you being coquettish? Yes. Le is the elder brother, and Le can act like a spoiled child, as he said. It's not good for my sister to act like a spoiled child all the time when she's older. I don't agree with Ling doing this often. Then let me sleep once. Why does it sound like a request? Once Tianhai's Higsu repeated. More like a request. Just once. Sakakibara Raku really couldn't stand her weak and particularly ethereal voice. It's like a sister who is connected by blood, softly pulling on the corner of his clothes, calling him brother, and saying that I want to eat sweets, which is irresistible. Okay, just once. Tianhai's Higsu fell asleep completely. Sakakibara took her back to her room, put her soft body on the bed, and covered her with a quilt. Turning off the light, Raku Sakakibara took one more look at Amami Yuki on the bed at the door of her bedroom. It would be nice to have another quiet sister. Sakakibara closed the door. The room with only moonlight returned to tranquility. Le is the husband. The girl was mumbling in her sleep. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 308. The closer the time gets to the summer of June, the hotter the sun in the sky becomes. On the gently sloping ginkgo slope outside the school gate, the orange sunlight shines brightly under the green leaves, dimly reflecting the outline of the students of Meidiok Junior High School walking underneath. Raku Sakakibara yawned while holding his shoulder bag. Many first-year classmates kept saying hello to him on the road, calling him senpai to say hello. Senior, when will your band release a new song? It's been a long time, but there used to be 4 new songs in a month. Above. Some juniors also asked him this. Probably because he stayed up late last night to take care of Yuki, Raku Sakakibara thought for a long time before coming up with the idea that no one has released any new songs yet to offend this young fan. Then he politely bid farewell to this good fan, who even said "Come on, senior," before leaving. As for whether this is the reason, everyone knows it. Not at all. The drummer and pianist were arguing so much that the band couldn't get together, and how could they come up with new songs? Therefore, it is about the fans who care about the band, about the friendship between the two sisters for more than 10 years, and about the harmony of one or even two families. For these righteousnesses, Raku Sakakibara decided that he had to be a little more aggressive in today's swimming class. With his arms raised, palms facing outward, ten-folded and raised, Sakakibara stretched and cheered up, and continued walking towards the campus. Except for being able to exchange a few words with Kyoju about class matters, Sakakibara spent an ordinary Tuesday morning. After lunch, it was officially time for the afternoon swimming class. As the class monitor, Raku Sakakibara organized the obviously very excited students to go to the swimming room to welcome the first swimming class of the semester. Swimming lessons, reality is different from ordinary anime. A swimming pool will be divided into men's and women's sides. The boys would look at the girls furtively from time to time, and the girls next door would gather together in 2s and 3s and make seductive screams and laughs. After changing into swimming trunks, Raku Sakakibara walked out of the locker room. Monitor. Look here. As soon as he stepped out of the locker room, Raku Sakakibara heard a girl wearing dead stockings in the swimming pool next door waving hello to him. Sakakibara looked over. The monitors ABS are so handsome. Thank you, Sakakibara responded with a smile. The girl's enthusiasm was immediately ignited by Raku Sakakibara's sunny smile, while the boys gave him more unfriendly looks. Sakakibara, I feel like you will arouse the dissatisfaction of boys wherever you go now. Fujino Yoshiyuki also put on swimming trunks, walked over, and waved to the girl next door jokingly. Several girls also responded to his gesture. Nishijima Oki, who was wearing glasses, also came along. Most people envy Sakakibara, but judging from what I heard from girls, Sakakibara-san is handsome and popular, and there are many talented people who don't like him. It's a normal situation. In fact, whether you are an artist, musician, writer, or entrepreneur, the more popular you are, the more you will attract a lot of negative fans. Sakakibara Raku once heard many people on the internet implying that there was chaos, darkness, and gloominess within the Tenkai Zaibatsu, but this was not the case. Compared with negative discussions, Sakakibara Raku feels that as a public figure, the most terrifying state is that no one cares. If you calmly accept some rumors and ridicules on the internet, you may gain a lot of reputation. Boys, come and gather. The physical education teacher with a whistle hanging around his neck came and shouted to the boys and finished speaking. Let the boys do warm-up exercises again. Fujino Yoshiyuki kept staring at the white legs of the girls next door. Sakakibara, do you think it's possible that as soon as we pass by, we will be surrounded by a bunch of girls, and then they beg us to teach them? Please break down the word we Fujino-san and understand that you and Sakakibara are not at the same level of popularity in school. Nishijima Ogai ruthlessly dismantled his illusions. That Sakakibara is a married man. That's right, Fujino, you are not the same. Listening to their chat, Sakakibara occasionally looked at the girls. I have to say that the female students in Class 1 of Grade 2 are really of high quality, not to mention Julie Yulai, Chi Minjiu, Zixu, and Aling. These four are well-known beautiful girls in the school. Chitano Sakai, Ai Minakura, and several other girls who have cliques in the class are also quite eye-catching. The girls lined up. Their legs under their swimsuits looked very charming. They were slender and straight with clear lines. Their fair skin seemed to reflect the sun and was full of youthful vitality. When Sakakibara Raku looked over, Sakakibara Suzu opposite him noticed his gaze. The old girl, whose upper body was almost the same as a tablet, winked at him and signaled that he could start later. Sakakibara Leto glanced at Kiju and understood. Asterisk. After doing the warm-up exercises and spending another 20 minutes on warm-up training, it's time for the racing session that everyone loves to see. The boys became athletes, while the girls watching around acted as spectators. Raku Sakakibara is in lane 4, standing on the same starting line as 7 other boys with swimming skills, including Fujino. Under the gaze of the girls, the atmosphere suddenly became heated. 3, 2, 1, start. The PE teacher blew a whistle, and 8 male students fell into the water together, and they all swam forward as fast as possible. Suddenly water splashed and voices rose. Brother! Brother! Go, 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 Suzu Sakakibara shouted loudly, completely ignoring her image as a voice actor idol and fully cheering for her brother. Sakakibara-kun. Class leader. Come on. Come on. Come on Izumi-san. Come on Yanagihara-san. Come on Fujino-san. For a moment, there was a flood of voices in the swimming pool, and the inspiring cheers seemed to drown the entire swimming pool. Brother! Brother! Come on! You are ahead. Sakakibara Suzu held her mouth with both hands, not having any energy left. Fujino-san suddenly exerted his strength and overtook. He overtook. Ah! The monitor accelerated again. So fast. It's too fast. The squad leader of lane 4 is ahead by a big margin. Fujino-san and Yanagihara-san in lanes 3 and 6 are still chasing after us, but the monitor is so awesome, he's already half a lap ahead. Almost number 1. Number 1. It's already here. Amid the ups and downs of the girls' explanations, the competition ended. Fujino, who came in second place, was so tired that he lay down on the ground as soon as he got out of the swimming pool. He saw Raku Sakakibara, who had landed a lap earlier than him. "You guys have abnormal physical abilities." Sakakibara smiled and said, "If you practice occasionally, you are at the level of an athlete." Fujino Yoshiyuki lay directly on the ground, breathing heavily, looking directly at the dazzling sunlight reflected from the transparent ceiling of the swimming pool. "It seems that I can't compare with you. I am number 1 in all sports, not to mention physical strength. My skills are so good. How about you come and play baseball with me? Let's go to Koshin together." "Sounds great, but unfortunately I've been too busy lately." "What are you busy with?" "Inherit the family business." "What family property do you have that you can inherit?" "Is it the Tianhai family?" Fujino Yoshiyuki suddenly opened his eyes and sat up directly. Sakakihara smiled happily but said nothing. End of topic. After a fierce confrontation, the first half of the swimming class ended, and the second half came to the time for students to use the swimming pool freely. Sakakihara Raku was sitting on the edge of the swimming pool and could clearly see Amamai Kuruori's graceful figure like a dolphin in the swimming pool. Not only was he watching, but many classmates could not help but look at her. The slender legs, the perfect figure, the breasts outlined by the swimsuit, and the beautiful face with water droplets when it came out of the water, shining brightly under the refraction of the sun. She is as beautiful as an athlete born to swim. In comparison, Tianhai Kaimingyu is a complete landlubber. From the training organized by the teacher just now, it can be seen that she can't swim at all. If Sakakibara Suzu hadn't been taking care of her, Sakakibara would have expected her to fall to the bottom of the water after 2 splashes. Therefore, Tianhai Kaimingyu, who would naturally avoid appearing ugly, just sat on the edge of the swimming pool and rested. She looked at her sister's popularity in the swimming pool. Occasionally she would visit Sakakihara Raku across the street. "It's a pity that I can't teach you today in July." Sakakibara noticed her gaze and sighed in his heart. At the same time, he apologized to Amamai Kuruori and went to the toilet. Soon, he waited for Sakakihara Suzu, who brought Amamai Yuki to find him. The white legs of the 2 girls are quite obvious. As if doing something bad, Sakakibara Suzu wanted to see if any classmates around her had noticed a few people, and then she whispered to Sakakibara Raku. "Brother, have you seen it?" "What did you see?" "How popular those 2 foxes are in the class. And now everyone knows that Julie Yulai is your girlfriend. Brother, if you take Zhigsu and teach her to swim, I'm afraid she will be gossiped about more seriously." "Asuzu," Raku Sakakibara said emphatically, "I have considered these things before making the plan, and I told you not to worry. I am just being called a scumbag." "What's the point?" "Because you are a scumbag to begin with, so you are not afraid of being scolded, right?" Sakakibara Suzu handed Tenkai Snow to Sakakibara Raku in her complaint. "Okay, Yuki is handed over to you, and you know what to do next. But I have to remind you in advance, don't steal Yuki's oil." "Don't worry, do you think your brother is that kind of perverted person?" After hearing his last words, Sakakihara Suzu turned around and left here without saying anything. Yuki Sakakibara focused his eyes on Amamai no Yuki's little face. "Happiness." Tianhai's Higsu responded softly. "This swimsuit of yours," Sakakihara couldn't help but look at her when they were alone, "it looks pretty good. You can wear it for Le when you go home." Sometimes being too natural can be a bad thing. By the way, can you swim? Swimmed in the hot spring at home for a while. Tianhai's indoor hot spring is really big enough for 5 people to take a bath together. How does it compare with Kaimingyu? Same as Xiaoqi. That means I can't swim at all. Sakakibara understood roughly. Okay, let's go, I'll teach you how to swim. Okay, Tianhai's Higsu nodded. Asterisk. Sakakibara took Amamayuki out of the passage to the swimming pool bathroom. The two of them appeared together, and the other students in the class didn't pay much attention at all. Tianhai Kaimingyu, who had been doing nothing all this time, immediately caught sight of the two of them walking together. Brother and aunt. Tianhai Kaimingyu, who was already sensitive, noticed something strange. There is no reason for this feeling. It is normal for the two of them to walk together. But Tianhai Kaimingyu always feels that something is not right. If you ask why, it's a woman's sixth sense. Tianhai Kaimingyu decided to observe the two of them more. Sakaki Rakugo brought Amamayuki to the swimming pool. Before I could get into the water, I immediately felt the sight of Kyo. It should be said that she is really sensitive in this regard. As soon as she stands with other women, their eyes will definitely glance over at her immediately, making people's scalp numb. Sakakibara planned to ignore it first and took the initiative to take Amaminazuki's little hand and lead her into the swimming pool. Raku Sakakihara then entered the water, letting Amamayuki, who could not float at all, hold onto the handrail at the edge of the pool first. The water is warm and lukewarm. That's what the water in the swimming pool is like. How to do? Watch me first, and then try it yourself. Raku Sakakihara demonstrated freestyle postures and movements to Amamayuki. Then she imitated Sakakihara Raku's movements, but it was obvious that she was very unskilled. She often starts to sink before even waving her hands twice. Don't worry, take your time, Sakakihara comforted her. So Sakakihara began to explain the techniques of freestyle in detail. Tell her that when swimming, she should relax her body and focus more on her arms and legs. Teach her how to adjust her breathing and maintain a certain rhythm so she can swim longer. I don't quite understand. Sakakihara almost forgot that Yuki didn't understand the literal meaning. If you want her to learn something, you have to let her do it on her own. Demonstrate first, then lead her to learn. For her, actions are better textbooks than words. So, while paying attention to Tenchi Minjio's line of sight, Sakakibara moved closer to Amaminazuki, hugged her slender waist, and taught her how to master the skills step by step. Lee's hands are so warm. Don't keep saying weird things. I'm teaching seriously. But unfortunately, no matter how Yuki tried at first, she would always sink after 2 flutters. Seeing that she was almost submerged in the water, Sakakibara had no choice but to go up and hold her soft belly. This happened several times in a row. No wonder Yuki said her hands were warm. After all, it was held on her belly every time. Try again. Good. I practiced for another 5 minutes, but it was still the same. Every time Amami no Yuki took the initiative to put an arm around Sakakibara Raku's neck. At this time, Amami no Yuki could see Raku Sakakibara's cheeks splashed with water, as well as some of his hair soaked in water. Tianhai's Higsu, who was holding his waist with his hands, couldn't help but look at him for a while and fell into a daze. Sakakihara Raku was still explaining some techniques to her enthusiastically. Yuki, don't worry, this thing needs to be done step by step. But it stands to reason that you should be the type to learn to swim easily. You just need to relax for this thing. Are you nervous? Happy and serious? That's not the case. Although I have other purposes, I am also serious about teaching you how to swim. Want to hug? Now, Sakakibara looked specifically at Amami Nanami, who was staring at him. Her eyes were already extremely unfriendly. Sakakibara stopped looking at Nanami Nanami, then, how about a slight hug? Amami no Yuki directly put her arms around Sakakibara Raku's neck. The softness of the girl's upper body rushed directly into his arms, which he did not expect. When she looked at Tianhai Kaimingyu again, she had already stood up and walked over. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 309. With her bare feet stepping on the white ceramic tiles, Tianhai Kaimingyu only took 2 steps forward, and she felt more and more uncomfortable with the scene just now. Hug each other? Even if it's teaching, we can't hug each other like this. Hey. Nanamayu, what are you going to do? Suzu Sakakihara suddenly grabbed Amami Nanami's wrist from behind. Tianhai Kaimingyu just gave her a flat look. Sister Chan, don't block the way. Are you going to find my brother? Sakakibara Suzu looked back, and then looked at Amami Nanami again with a puzzled look on her face. That's not possible. Let's not say whether our swimming teaching has been completed yet. You have completed it, you can't take the initiative to talk to my brother either. Be careful if I tell my uncle. Tianhai Kaimingyu was not annoyed at all, and crossed her arms. You must know that a sister who only reports to her parents will never be popular. I suggest you, Sister Chan, get out of the way as soon as possible. Get out of the way? Why are you getting out of the way, so that you can go over and quarrel with my brother? I have something to ask him. No. Suzu Sakakihara in a swimsuit put one hand on her hip, closed her eyes, shook her right index finger, and talked. Chi Minjio, I think you should give up. My brother spends only such a small amount of time with you, how can it compare to the sisterly love you and Julie Yulai have for more than 10 years? It's not worth your while for my brother. Such a quarrel. And as you can see, my brother is a scumbag. Chi Minjio, you are so outstanding. The most beautiful girl recognized by the whole school, with status, culture, knowledge, and temperament, he is not worthy of you. And my brother he has been having a romantic and flirting career recently, he would feel uncomfortable if he were a woman, and Chi Minjio has this kind of character, he must feel the most uncomfortable when he sees my brother. Sakakibara Suzu's voice stopped suddenly, and when she opened her eyes, she realized that Amami Nanami didn't listen to a word she said and had already disappeared before her eyes. Turning around, I saw Nanami's back as she continued to walk towards Sakakibara Raku. Sakakibara Suzu complained dissatisfiedly, really, I would like to advise you with good words not to go over and feel uncomfortable, but to go and ask for trouble. Sakakihara Suzu went to see Tianhai Jurili again and found that she was still swimming at the other end. I don't know if it's a big heart or a carelessness. Sakakihara Suzu couldn't help but think to herself. When Amami Nanamijetsu walked up to him, Sakakibara Raku had already let go of Amami Nazuki in his arms, and now he just held her waist in the water to help her maintain balance. The first thing Tianhai Kaimingyu saw when she came here was that the two people were extremely close to each other. The girl didn't say anything, she just looked at Sakakihara Raku silently and met his eyes. In the past, Sakakihara Raku would definitely explain to her what he was doing now. But now, Sakakihara Raku could only say sorry to Nanami Mingzuki in his heart. Come on, Yuki, keep floating. Don't be afraid. I'll support you below. Good. Tianhai's Higsu obeyed what he said and agreed obediently. You step on the bottom of the water first, then cross your hands, push your body forward, and then kick the water alternately with your legs. You must master the rhythm Raku Sakakihara taught Amami Nazuki, and her small body trembled from time to time. This went on for 3 minutes. The 7 bright moons in the sky and the sea have been watching from the shore, silently and quietly for a long time. She didn't want to take the initiative to speak. She thought someone knew what she meant by coming to him. She really wanted to hear someone explain to her what the hug just now meant. I don't know if someone's emotional intelligence has regressed, or if he has been angry recently because he hasn't contacted him for so long and is deliberately ignoring himself. Her eyes were fixed on Raku Sakakibara and Yuki Amamai. When Tianhai Kaimingyu witnessed this scene, it was not that she didn't know that it was impossible for the two people in front of her to get together emotionally, but he and Tianhai's Higsu were so close that she still felt a little unhappy. In the end, it was Tianhai Kaimingyu who took the initiative and said, "What are you doing here? Teaching Yuki how to swim, what's wrong with you?" Sakakibara looked at Nanamai with a normal smile on his face, as if he was explaining a normal thing. Xiaoqi Tianhai's Higsu followed his gaze and glanced at Tianhai Chi Minjiao standing by the swimming pool. "We were taught how to hold each other just now," Tianhai Kaimingyu still said indifferently. Raku Sakakihara seemed to hear her unhappiness and explained to her seriously. "I know what you are thinking in Kyo. But don't get me wrong in Kyo. It's just that Yuki didn't stabilize her body just now and was about to sink. I went to catch her, but she didn't know how to swim. She panicked and hugged her naturally. My neck. Nothing really. 7 bright moons in the sky, dot. Ellie, I'll try again. Then try again." Naturally, Amamai no Yuki failed to float again, and Sakakibara had no choice but to lift her onto his arms again. "Failed. It's okay, keep up the good work," Sakakihara comforted. Except for the sudden hug just now from Amamai Yuki, Sakakibara Raku has always maintained normal close contact with Yuki. It's just an ordinary swimming lesson. Although Sakakihara Raku didn't show any panic on the surface. But in my heart, I have already begun to make assumptions about Tianhai Kaimingyu's current psychological activities. How do you feel about July now? What did she think of her explanation? Did she have any doubts about her contact with Higsu? Or maybe she didn't feel any threat from Tianhai's Higsu at all, so she didn't care about it at all. She just cared about the explanation of the hug just now. Have you forgotten something? Amamai Nanamai suddenly asked Sakakibara Raku. Forgot something? Dot. Sorry, July. Sakakihara Raku actually always remembered that during the cultural festival, he promised to teach Chi Minjiao how to swim, but now he had to pretend that he had forgotten it in order to distance himself from Chiu. He could only keep talking about his sins and sins in his mind. Next, Amamai Nanamajetsu had no expression on her face and did not speak the whole time. It was difficult for Sakakibara Raku to guess her thoughts, so she could only continue to follow the process and continue to teach Amamai Nanamayuki. Asterisk. Tianhai Kaimingyu just stopped by the swimming pool and watched the two people's contact. The contact between two people is normal. Except for the hug I saw just now. It's indeed normal. After seeing himself, Sakakibara tried his best to explain the situation, but couldn't find any clues at all. But why does she feel some uneasiness? Tianhai Kaimingyu began to think of some of the scenes he had just seen. Sakakibara Raku taught Amamai no Yuki to be careful. Suzu Sakakihara blocked her inexplicably. Amamai no Yuki looked at Sakakibara Raku intentionally or unintentionally. That look that will more or less look past you. Tianhai Kaimingyu had a question in her mind. Auntie really likes my brother? No, even liking it is not a normal liking. It's not that Tianhai Kaimingyu doesn't understand the situation of Tianhai Snow. Dad has always said that his sister-in-law has lacked emotions since she was a child. She simply cannot officially recognize the so-called love. Just a very simple person. And the brother, who understands this condition quite well, has no chance of getting along with his aunt. His conscience will be troubled. There may be a good impression, and both parties may have a certain fondness for each other, but it is still impossible to be together. So Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't care at all. Even if Tianhai's Higsu said that she liked her brother in front of herself and her sister that day, she didn't care at all. Yes, every fact is correct. But why do I still feel a little uncomfortable in my heart? Could it be that he felt unhappy about the contact between the two? Or is it that he is angry because his brother has forgotten his promise to him again? Did he forget what happened on the day of the cultural festival on purpose? Why do I subconsciously feel that my brother is deliberately avoiding me? It's like avoiding an ex-girlfriend. Tianhai Kaimingyu thought about it for a long time, but still couldn't give herself a definite answer. She just had a little more doubt in her heart. Asterisk. On the other side of the indoor pool. Many students in the class have discovered the situation across the swimming pool. Hey, the monitor over there is teaching Tianhai Sang how to swim. The squad leader started hooking up with girls again. It's the third Tianhai. I don't know what the Tianhai family will think. I already told you that the monitor has 3 things to do. Damn it, why are the monitor surrounded by beautiful girls? You just need to be as handsome as him, the same. The monitor's girlfriend is not Julie Yulai. Why? SHH, keep your voice down, don't let Julie Yulai misunderstand you. Raku Sakakibara has a good reputation in the class, so even though many people in the school ridicule him as a current scumbag, the classmates in the class only jokingly call him a 3-horse guy because of his status as the band leader. No malicious intent. But the speaker has no intention, and the listener has intention. These boring chats still reached Tianhai Julie Yulai's ears. She almost immediately stopped talking to the other girls and looked across the swimming pool. Sakakibara Raku, Amamine Wayuki, and Amamine Nanamajetsu standing on the shore are over there. My brother did teach Tianhai's Higsu how to swim there. Tianhai Julie Yulai didn't care about the gossip, but he almost kept staring there with very concentrated attention. Deputy Monitor, the girl in the swimming pool asked Tianhai Julie Yulai in a low voice, "Are you still going on?" Tianhai Julie Yulai turned around and showed a gentle smile, "Well, let's go here for today. I will teach you the next swimming class." "Okay, please monitor me." "Fine." Tianhai Julia walked out of the swimming pool, her long flaxen hair wet on her face and shoulders. She kept staring at the other end of the swimming pool, just briefly wiping her hair with a towel, and then immediately walked to Sakakibara Raku. When she came to Amamine Nanamajetsu, she also saw the scene of Sakakibara Raku teaching Amamine no Yuki. July, this is. There is a certain distance between the two sisters. Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't look kindly on the sister who had just walked over, and didn't look at her. "Sister, if you want to know, you can ask yourself, why bother asking me?" Tianhai Julie Yulai was used to his sister's alienation, but smiled and said, "I can ask Kiyu directly about you, why don't I ask?" "Then sister thinks I will answer." Tianhai Kaimingyu still didn't look at her sister. "Perhaps I would ignore it under normal circumstances, but since you have talked to me in Chi, you naturally have something to say to me." "So, Amamai Kuruori?" asked Nami Mingzuki while watching Sakakibara Raku and Amamine Wayuki in the swimming pool. He asked, "What is going on? Just now I thought I heard a classmate say that they were hugging each other. Are they still very close?" After these days of fighting and sarcasm, Tianhai Chi Minjiu didn't want to give Zai any good temper to her sister. Naturally, he would not fully answer her words. "That's right," Tianhai Kaimingyu replied calmly. "Is this true? Brother is really hugging Higsu." Tianhai Kaimingyu glanced at Tianhai Julie Yulai. "Sister, don't believe it? If you don't believe it, just ask your good brother yourself." "What do you ask me for?" Tianhai Julie Yulai could hear the displeasure in her sister's words. Will the 7 bright moons be unpleasant? It didn't seem like he was unhappy with himself, but more like he was affected by something. If Chi Minjiu is unhappy, does it mean that there is indeed something between Lejun and Higsu that makes her uncomfortable? Suspicious, worried, uncomfortable. Kuruori, who was already suspicious of Sakakibara Raku's feelings because of the previous incident, naturally became more suspicious. But this suspicion and worry cannot be expressed in front of Chi Minjio. And she couldn't rule out that Chi Minjio was deliberately deceiving herself. She was in an unhappy mood when she started sowing discord. If she said a few more words, wouldn't she lose her temper with Lejun? Chi Minjio's calm response only accentuated her own unreasonableness. Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't want to fall into Chi Minjio's trap. Let her get infinite benefits in just a few words. Therefore, Tianhaijuli Yulai replied very calmly. Compared with what you said in Kyo, I think it would be better for me to wait until Lejun brings Zhixu back and ask him in person. I believed you in just a few words, but I think I fell into your trap. Fell into a trap. The 7 bright moons in the sky are in front of you, with an indiscernible expression. Sister, do you think I'm lying to you? Tianhaijuli Yulai replied, I don't think you are deceiving me, but what you are best at in Kyo is to use some facts to mislead people towards a wrong understanding. At least in my opinion, the interaction between Lejun and Zhixu is it's normal, very ordinary. Maybe the hug everyone just mentioned was just my sister-in-law accidentally putting her hand on my brother's body? That's just what my sister thought. Tianhai Chi Minjio felt a sense of pleasure in her heart, but turned and left with a very unhappy expression. July, where are you going? Change your clothes, today's swimming lesson should have ended long ago. Tianhaijuli Yulai focused his gaze on his sister's leaving figure, frowning. Suspicious. So suspicious. So suspicious. Amamai Kuruori wanted to believe what he had just thought, believing that the so-called embrace between Sakakibara Raku and Amamai Wayuki was just an ordinary teaching interaction. But Tianhai Kaimingyu's expression was very unhappy, her pace was very unhappy, and her heart was not very happy either. This made Tianhaijuli Yulai start to think about the things he believed in last time, and how the things he believed in collapsed and collapsed. She wanted to trust her mother completely, but her mother only used her. She was also willing to trust Lejun completely, but Kajun still told her that he still liked his sister. I want to believe firmly, but in my heart, it is always difficult to fully trust something as before. Nowadays. Amamai Kuruori waited until Sakakibara Raku swam back here with Amamai no Yuki, and specifically asked about the situation. Sakakibara Raku's answer was exactly the same as what he had said when he answered Nanamayu, so there was no clue. Sakakibara Rakia assured himself firmly that he and Amamai Nizuki had nothing to do with each other. Luli, I have never lied to you from beginning to end. Tianhaijuli Yulai knew that he had not lied to her, but he had cleverly avoided it on certain occasions. At this point, Tianhaijuli Yulai could only blame herself for being stupid. In the future, I will never use any means or words to hide things you don't want to see. Please rest assured. Amamai Kuruori was speechless, focusing on Sakakibara Raku and Amamai Wayuki, who were continuing to teach in the swimming pool. It was obvious that the two of them were just ordinary swimming instructors. But for some reason, she began to have a little doubt in her heart. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 310. Brother, what are you thinking? Sister-in-law, what exactly do you think? It's impossible for the two of them to like each other, but is it possible that they like each other? Why do you want to think about something that is basically impossible to happen? Did he feel uneasy because he hadn't seen his brother for too long? Is it because I am busy with family affairs every day and thinking about how to completely defeat my sister, which makes me feel tired? At school and at the foundation, these questions have been swirling in Tianhai Kaimingyu's mind. Chi Minjio, you, Julie Yulai and Xiao need to change classes recently. I have already mentioned this to your uncle. Tianhai Chi Minjio had just left the foundation. She took a taxi back to Tianhai's house. She was dragging her slightly tired spirit and had just stepped across the threshold of her new bedroom when her father called and said so. She said. Dot. Silence, wordlessness, and then a deep breath. I reject. Tian Haikimingyu closed the door, sat back on the bed in her bedroom, and casually grabbed a shark doll and put it on her lap. My father's voice came again from the other end of the phone. Chi Minjiao, this is not asking you with conditions, but you still can't distance yourself from Xiao Le. As far as I know, you and Julie Yulai will always go to Xiao Le when they are in school. Let's talk. I don't think this is anything, but it needs to be considered based on the actual situation between you, Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai. Tian Haikimingyu placed her deep eyes on the cute eyes of the shark doll, remained quiet, and continued to listen to her father's words. Chi Minjiao, how do you think your relationship with Julie Yulai will progress? I want to hear your thoughts. It's simple. I can't compromise with my sister. Yes, it's impossible. As expected, it's your character, so there can only be one development, and you will still quarrel endlessly. But what does this have to do with things in school? Tian Haikimingyu asked. Of course there is. In school, you will approach Xiao alone, and as soon as you get close, another person will inevitably get close. This involves your dissatisfaction with each other. Then you two sisters will stay together again. And quarrels are inevitable. Tian Haikimingyu was non-committal, but said bluntly to the phone, Dad, do you think the problem can be completely solved by separating me and my sister? No, but it will calm you down. Amamai maid Nori answered on the phone, you and your sister need to find a way to reconcile after you calm down. Now you can only quarrel and bicker every time you meet. This will only make the relationship between you two worse. I will say this to Julie Yulai later, but it's up to you to decide what you think. What I can tell you Chi Minjiao is that in the past few months, it is strictly forbidden to meet or talk to Xiao Le, or for you to take the initiative to find him, or for him to take the initiative to find you. For this reason, I even asked him to go to your foundation, turn it down. When can you and your sister sit down and have a good chat with you alone before you talk to me about the next thing? I don't accept it. Tian Haikimingyu pinched the shark doll's hand with her fingers and gave the same indifferent answer. Amamai maid Nori on the other end of the phone seemed to sigh helplessly. Kyo, your grandfather already knows about Xiao Le and your relationship with Julie Yulai at the same time. You can understand the rest without me telling you, right? Toot. 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 The phone was hung up. Tian Haikimingyu hugged the shark doll and was still immersed in the last words her father said and could not forget it for a long time. Grandpa already knows everything. Although the day her sister took the initiative to pull Sakakibara Raku to announce their relationship to the outside world, Amamai Nanamai was ready to face today. But I didn't expect it to come so quickly. Once the matter is revealed, one can imagine the obstacles that will be encountered next. Meetings, contact, and talking are prohibited, and even classes are being transferred. Tian Haikimingyu thought that her grandfather would most likely be even more angry after hearing this. As for why she just asked her to switch classes with her sister, she thought it was probably her father who spoke for the two of them from behind. Tian Haikimingyu touched the cheek of the shark doll on her lap with her hand. In my heart, I have been recalling the memories of my childhood that I can never forget no matter what. Those pictures, those memories, those agreements for myself that can be followed for a lifetime. Not only was she thinking in her heart, what words could she say that would move him so much that he would desperately take her away to a distant place? Don't worry about Dad, sister, Grandpa. Don't worry about those miscellaneous things that are troublesome and annoying to do. All he needs is a simple library and 2 window seats. After school, he sat by the window and read quietly, while he finished his run, slumped his school bag, and came to sit in front of her despite the heat that had not yet dissipated. He smiled and talked to himself, awkwardly asking himself for homework that he couldn't do, and then took out a small trinket he saw on the road today that he thought he would like and gave it to himself. When he sees that he is unhappy, he will deliberately tell himself some stories that he thinks are interesting. We went to school together and went home together. When we got home, we would take the initiative to go hiking and do things that we didn't want to do on weekdays, about the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 311. Haenda Airport. On the empty apron, an obvious medium-sized transport aircraft was parked not far away. Here, Sakakibara met Kitano, the former manager of the sports car club. He held his briefcase, and after seeing the group of people walking towards him, he quickly straightened the tie on his suit and walked over on his own initiative. Mr. Sakura, Mr. Sakakibara, and two ladies. Manager Kitano, who looked very much like a successful person, greeted several people one by one with a dignified manner. He, who was over 40 years old, took the initiative to bend down in front of several people. "You're welcome, Mr. Kitano," Sakakibara replied. "Have you received the full amount I called you this morning?" "Yes, I have received it all. I have prepared all the relevant procedures." "Trouble. Mr. Sakakihara is so kind," Manager Kitano sighed. "Is the car inside?" Suzu Sakakihara suddenly jumped out and asked, her eyes focused on the very obvious plane behind him. "Of course, now we're just waiting for a few people to come and accept the sports car. The private jet that flew here from France lowered the cargo door at the rear." Suzu Sakakibara stepped on her feet and saw the low and extremely handsome Bugatti Veyron flybolide almost immediately. Streamlined sports car front. "Isn't this car too high profile to drive out?" Seeing the blue sports car, Sakakihara Suzu subconsciously lowered her voice and muttered. "Didn't you say you wanted to buy something cool and stylish, Aling?" "Hee, yes. But he's really handsome." "What did Yuki say?" Nice." "Hee, right. You feel even more handsome than the photos I gave you." Manager Kitano interjected, "Please go in and take a closer look. If there are any details, we can now change them on the spot." The car company has also sent a team of professional engineers over to avoid any unexpected situations. Sakakibara glanced at Sakura subconsciously. Buy a sports car and transport it exclusively on a private jet. And not only did they deliver the car, they also packed it and sent a team of maintenance engineers from France. "Young master, don't be surprised. This is a very common thing." Several blonde and blue-eyed staff who had already been in place lowered the freight elevator. Sakakibara and his team approached while Manager Kitano walked beside him and introduced. The flybolide is a top-level sports car specially designed for the track and one of the fastest supercars in history. It uses a full carbon fiber body and weighs only 1,240 kilograms. It is equipped with a new 8.0-liter quad-turbocharged W16. The engine has a maximum output power of 1,850 horsepower, a torque of 1,850 nanometers, an acceleration time of 0–100 km per hour in 2.17 seconds, and a top speed of more than 500 km per hour. In addition, it is equipped with a large aerodynamic package, including a huge rear spoiler, side spoilers, and front windshield. Only 40 units will be sold worldwide. As a track car, it has strong performance, but it also has many shortcomings. The interior is simple, the door handles are also designed with pull straps, and the steering wheel is not that of a conventional sports car. Of course, the car company has made changes to all of the above in accordance with the requirements of Mr. Sakakibara and the two ladies. The interior has been improved, with leather seats and an LCD touch panel. The interior space has been slightly enlarged, the chassis has been raised, and the steering wheel has been replaced with a classic style on the market. It is closer to the comfort of daily driving. Touching the cold body of this Bugatti bolide with his fingers, the sharp and stylish blue shell, and listening to manager Kitano's careful introduction, Sakakihara couldn't help but exclaim that it was great to be rich. Not to mention the handsome sports car and good performance, all services can be customized. Like an ordinary Bugatti, there is really no LCD center console in the car, and the interior is the same as a car from decades ago. It's so good looking, so handsome. Look at these X-shaped headlights. The 4 exhaust pipes behind your butt. Suzu Sakakihara took out her mobile phone and took pictures of the blue sports car, excitedly. She also stood next to the sports car, sat in the sports car, and asked Higsu to take 2 photos of herself, saying that she wanted to post them on her Twitter. Sakakihara thought it was not good for a public figure to show off her wealth like this. But it doesn't matter if you think about it carefully. Mr. MMI has announced the identity of Miss Sakakihara Suzu anyway. It's just that many of her fans don't know yet. Can 3 people sit down? Raku Sakakihara turned to manager Kitano and asked. Well, it's okay to squeeze in a bit. Ashamed to say it, Sakakihara Raku handed over the entire model, and suddenly remembered that the sports car can only seat 2 people. This goes against his original intention of taking everyone for a ride. Converting it into a 3-seater would definitely be too much work, as the entire car would have to be modified. Sakakibara Raku could only make a request to adjust the depth and width of the passenger seat to be larger. There are no 3 positions, but it is still okay for a Ling to sit together with Ji Shui in her arms. The license plate has been put on in advance, Shinagawa 3XX11-11. The Shinagawa license plate is also very particular, equivalent to the domestic Beijing A and Shanghai A. Sakakihara Raku didn't know where Uncle Sakura got this license plate for him. Sakakibara looked around and then went to sit in the car to confirm that it was correct. Manager Kitano handed him some vehicle-related certificates, special maintenance services, certificates from Bugatti from France, and some small gifts. Sakakihara opened it and took a look and found that the number of his car was 032. That is the 32nd channel in the world. Mr. Sakakibara, do you want to drive out now? Certainly. Asterisk. Raku Sakakibara got into the driving seat of this sports car worth 5 million euros. Different from the uncomfortable seats of ordinary track cars, the interior of this customized Bugatti bolide is more luxurious. The seats are wrapped in leather, making the experience more comfortable, and the tilt angle of the window is more suitable for daily driving. Amami Yuki held Sakakihara Suzu in the passenger seat, who was looking left and right. Brother, the seat of the sports car is really low. Otherwise, why can it run so fast? The entire body design is for speed. Raku Sakakihara inserted the key, and Bugatti's brand logo appeared on the LCD screen. Immediately after ignition, the car's quad-turbocharged engine began to roar. A rich voice immediately came from behind the back seat. Hyofu! It feels so exciting. She twisted her body and looked behind her. To Sakakibara Suzu, the engine behind this sports car is just burning money. Suzuki, it's so heavy, Amami Nazuki under her butt whispered, but unfortunately Sakakihara Suzu was only immersed in the sound of the sports car's engine and didn't hear her voice at all. Sakakibara lowered the window, and Sakura specifically explained to him that the car's modifications had not yet been completed. For example, the car audio and other things, the engineering team would stay in Tokyo for a while. Sakakibara sat in the car and gestured okay to Uncle Sakura. After getting a smile from Sakura in response, he closed the window. He put his hands on the steering wheel of the sports car. Aling, Yuki, sit down. Brother, are you going to drive? Yes, let's go. I'll take you for a ride in Tokyo. Slow down. Okay. Asterisk. Towards evening, the sky began to turn dark blue, and the remaining light from the sky was transmitted through the gaps between high-rise buildings, illuminating the entire city. As dusk falls, the scenery becomes more mysterious and beautiful. The afterglow of the sunset dyed the sky red, and the lights of high-rise buildings gradually lit up in the night. The buildings were deeply reflected, and they stood layer by layer in the city. Crowds of people are constantly shuttling on the brightly lit city avenues, bustling and noisy. The street lamps swayed in the breeze, reflecting the twinkling stars. Buzz. In Ginza, Minato City, a commercial center focusing on luxury brands such as high-end fashion, jewelry, watches, home appliances, and cosmetics. A sports car that looked like a blue meteor, with the dull roar of its engine, appeared in the sight of countless people on the street from far to near. The car body is low and slender, painted in sky blue, and matched with X-shaped white streamlined headlights. The buildings and streetscapes on both sides of the street appear more dazzling and mysterious under the reflection of the car lights. When the sports car passes by, the friction sound of the wheels rolling, mixed with the roar of the engine, goes straight into people's field of vision like a bright sword. Pedestrians and vehicles on the roadside seemed to be attracted to it. They stopped or slowed down, took out their mobile phones to take pictures, and stared at the car. It seemed that the hustle and bustle of the city were reflected in its beautiful paint. Above. Sakakibara stepped on the brakes and the sports car stopped at an intersection. Because it is a fashionable commercial street, there are many gorgeously dressed women and curious men on the roadside looking at this blue sports car. It was natural to take photos and videos. They looked at the car and recorded the evidence they had seen, as if they had discovered some treasure in the new world. Some people looked towards the opaque car windows, seemingly wanting to know who was driving this top-notch supercar that looked extremely luxurious inside. While these people were looking at the vehicle, Suzu Sakakihara was also looking at the curious people outside in the co-pilot. Brother, there are a lot of people watching us. Sakakihara put one hand on the letter B on the steering wheel, turned to his sister in the passenger seat and said with a smile, "Well, don't you see what kind of car we are driving? Isn't this a bit too high profile? Didn't you say it would be so high profile when you bought it? I also suggested that Uncle Ying prepare a better license plate. It's the 11-11 in Shinagawa. It's so easy to remember. Now everyone in Tokyo really knows that we drive this car." Suzu Sakakihara looked at the people talking to each other outside, hesitating whether to come up and knock on the car. The face of the woman chatting up the window. "That's not necessarily true," Raku Sakakibara replied. "Didn't you just take a photo and post it on your Twitter? If someone takes a photo of our car on social media, there is a high probability that someone will say it in the comment area." Suzu Sakakihara's car. Sakakihara Suzu's mouth curved into a beautiful crescent moon, and she looked very happy. "It sounds quite vain. Look at you, your mouth is pouting to the sky. Are you expecting someone to compliment your sports car? That's not the case. I'll just say that my brother gave it to me. This car was actually written with Sakakibara Raku's name on it. He wanted to give it to Suzu, but Suzu was too embarrassed to accept it, so he asked that he could take her out for a ride on a regular basis. But 50% of the reason why I bought this flashy sports car was because Aling liked it. Therefore, this car can be regarded as a car owned by a brother and a sister. In order to tell that father who ran away to who knows where, how stupid your choice was to abandon your family and your son. If he really saw it and wanted to come back. Sakakibara Raku didn't even have to do it himself. Suzu took the money and was the first to whip his bastard. Thinking about the hard times that the siblings and their mother had when they were young, it was really a relief. Dong dong. The sound of glass being knocked. Sakakibara lowered the car window and saw a very beautiful woman with a very good temperament outside, bending down and smiling at him. The other party seemed to be even more happy after seeing Sakakibara's young face. "Hello handsome guy, your car is so beautiful." "Thank you," Sakakibara responded politely, his expression unchanged. Your car must be very expensive, right? She bent down even more and smiled even wider. It's okay. From Sakakihara Raku's perspective, the intention of her action was already very obvious. I wonder if you could take me for a ride. No, no, Suzu Sakakihara replied from the co-pilot, and her face didn't look good. Hearing this voice, the woman suddenly realized that the co-pilot of the young man around her was already occupied by other women, and there were two of them. After saying this, Suzu Sakakihara pressed the raise button of the car window to isolate the woman. There was no surprise. The woman kept a smile on her face and returned to her classmate slightly disappointed. Sakakibara Suzu also noticed that Sakakibara was smiling and said to him dissatisfied. What are you laughing at? Sakakibara still kept smiling. It's nothing, I just think it's quite interesting. It's not interesting at all, okay. Let me tell you, these women are social butterflies. They're not clean. Don't really become that kind of unscrupulous son-in-law just because you have money. Sakakihara held the steering wheel with one hand, looked at the large number of blocked vehicles outside the car window, and continued to smile. No, I think it's quite interesting. I used to think that if you have money, you can just have women reality. Now it seems that if you have money, you can have casual relationships. No way, brother, have you ever thought about it like this? Are you more naive than me and Zhigsu? Sakakihara replied, that was my idea a long time ago. And I have been in contact with you for a long time, so I naturally think that feelings cannot be judged by money. But in fact, in the eyes of many people, money equals feelings. Brother, do you like this? Sakakibara Suzu stared at her brother's handsome profile and said suspiciously, you won't really become that kind of unscrupulous young man who plays with women casually in the future, will you? Ailing, what are you worried about? You still don't know your brother. It's clear, you scumbag. Sakakibara smiled calmly, you're not that scumbag. It's not like you don't know my feelings for Kiju. Human depravity occurs step by step. Brother, maybe one day you will become more and more open-minded and unable to withstand the temptation of those women. Sakakihara Raku immediately used a knife on his sister's head. Where did you learn these messy things? TV Amamayuki answered for Sakakihara Suzu on her lap. Watch some bloody love dramas every day. Sakakibara rubbed Sakakihara Suzu's head. Sakakihara Suzu shook her head and shook his hand away. It looks good, okay. Also, you haven't given me a serious answer to my question yet. It's okay, they are all vulgar fans. Moreover, the family tradition of Tianhai family is also very upright, and it can restrain me to a certain extent. Although it is not necessary at all. You also know the specific reason, those people will not give sincerity, and will not help when in trouble. The feeling of advancing and retreating together is something that money cannot buy. Dong dong. Dong dong. The car window was knocked again. There is another woman who looks very beautiful outside. Sakakihara Suzu planned to do it by herself this time and directly drive away the opponent. She pressed the button to open the car window and leaned half of her body in front of Sakakihara Raku. Because the interior of the sports car was very small, the distance was so close that Sakakibara couldn't help but be squeezed by her and turned his face sideways, smelling the aroma of her shower gel. Fortunately, it's a big tablet with nothing on it. He couldn't help but think so in his heart. The window was down. The woman outside the car stood in front of a very shiny fashion clothing store, her smiling face and the outline of her figure outlined by the light. Beautiful, mature, beautiful woman. This was Sakakihara Suzu's first impression when she saw the woman outside. If you are so beautiful and elegant, why do you want to be a social butterfly? Sakakihara Suzu thought for a moment subconsciously, and then immediately said to the woman with a straight face, there is no rich young man to strike up a conversation with you. Just walk away if you know how to deal with it. When Sakakihara Suzu said this, the woman was stunned for a moment and her smile became even wider. Sakakihara Suzu was even more confused. Why are you laughing? It's nothing, the woman couldn't help laughing. I just thought it was interesting, I didn't expect it to be such a coincidence. Coincidence? What coincidence? Sakakihara Suzu glanced back at Sakakihara Raku, who was turned sideways by her belly, and then asked the woman outside, do you know him? The woman blinked, I know him. Not only do I know him, I also know you. Then why don't I know you? Fan. Female fans. Elder sister. This sound. Sakakihara Suzu thought for a long time before suddenly remembering that this voice was Zyuki's unique voice. She calls this person outside sister. Then this person, isn't it? Aunt. Tianhaiza tilted his head and found that there was another person inside. He was happily surprised and said, oh, Yuki is here too. This sports car is too crowded to sit in. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 312. Aunt. Hearing this unfamiliar voice, Sakakihara Raku quickly pushed the belly of his sister in front of him some distance away. Turning around, he soon saw a woman standing outside the sports car with a smile on her face. Delicate and beautiful, with long flowing hair, regular facial features, fair skin, and a well-proportioned figure. A white t-shirt is paired with an open jacket, white shorts, and a pair of white Nike sneakers. The overall style is simple and refreshing, without losing the taste of young girls. At first glance, she is about 70% similar to Tianhai's Higsu. Here I have to sigh again about the excellent bloodline of the Tianhai family, each of them is an outstanding beauty. Tianhaiza didn't care about the novel and unfamiliar looks from the two brothers and sisters. He pointed at himself and said with a bit of joking to the two brothers and sisters who were looking towards him in the car. Although this is our first meeting, you should also know me. I don't know. Sakakihara Suzu shook her head. It hurts. But just as Sakakibara Suzu shook her head, her forehead was flicked, and the next thing that appeared in her field of vision was Azusa Amami's squinting, close at hand, kind smile. Then, how about Xiaoling coming to formally meet her aunt? Sakakihara Suzu was so stunned that she couldn't help but take another look, and then her forehead was flicked again. Xiaoling, don't be in a daze. It hurts. Sakakibara Suzu hugged her head, and when she looked again, Amami Azusa was already far away. She was standing in front of the lights of the fashion clothing store, returning to her previous delicate and beautiful appearance. She coughed twice and formally introduced herself. I am Tianhaiza, Zhixu's biological sister, and the ninth in the family. According to seniority, I can also be regarded as the aunt of you two brothers and sisters, but I don't like this title very much. After all, you are the same age as Zhixu, so you call me sister most. You ask me to call you sister, then you shouldn't call yourself aunt, Suzu Sakakihara said dissatisfied. That's not okay. We all have our own opinions. I am your aunt, you call me sister. Sakakihara Suzu had never met Azusa Amami and had no impression of her. Sakakihara Raku heard his uncle briefly introduce some family members. Among them are several aunts who rarely return to Tianhai's house. My uncle has 9 sisters in total. Zhixu is the youngest, and this Tianhaizu ranks 8th among her uncle's sisters. Although they are the closest sisters, the age difference between Tianhaizi and Shui is 12 years, and she is the only one among Zhixu's 8 sisters who is not married yet. This aunt is a real aunt. If Sakakibara Raku remembers correctly, this aunt should be the aunt who told Zhixu to show her belly when greeting her, and then made the old man embarrass himself in front of the guests. Amami Azusa noticed Sakakibara Raku's gaze and waved to him with a gentle and sincere smile. It seems that Xiao Le still knows me, why don't you say hello? Sakakibara nodded, it's the first time we've met, so please take good care of me in the future. Oh? Xiao is so formal, and quite a serious type. Well, I'll give you and Xiaoling permission to call me by my name. Tianhaize looked at Tianhaize Hixu, who was sitting inside again, poked his head in and waved. Yuki, why don't you say hello to your sister? It's rare for me to come back. Sister Tianhaize Hixu blinked and just called out softly. Oh, Yuki is unfamiliar again. Could it be that he forgot his sister again? No. Although it was the first time they met, Sakakibara Raku felt that the aunt in front of her was not the kind of serious person and was very difficult to deal with. Moreover, the aunt's current dressing style is not that of a 28-year-old woman. More like a college student who has just graduated from high school, his whole body is full of fashion. Azusa. Sister, Sakakibara noticed that Azusa Amami narrowed her eyes again in that gentle and sincere gaze. He quickly changed his words and continued to ask, did Sister Azusa just come back from studying abroad? I heard from my uncle that you have always been I study abroad all year round. It's true that I just came back 2 days ago. Amami Azusa was not surprised. She glanced at the long motorcade that was still blocked in front of the sports car, then turned back to Sakakibara Raku inside the sports car and said, it seems that my brother has told you quite a lot. My uncle told me all the basic information about the family members. Tianhaize touched his chin, looked left and right, took a few more glances at the top-notch supercar he was driving, and spoke in a longer voice. Well, I heard that you also bought this car with your own money. Sister Zi knows. Being called sister by the handsome boy, Tianhaize's smile became even bigger. Of course, the channels through which Uncle Ying went through were left over from when I bought a sports car. In other words, if you can get this Bugatti so smoothly, I can also. You did your part. Sakakibara smiled and said, thank you so much, Sister Azusa. Tianhaize became even happier and smiled without concealing. Haha, I like you very much, Xiao. If you want to be the heir, I will give you one more vote, sister. But at your age, you can earn the money to buy the sports car by yourself. I think the old man should also be interested in your ability. Very recognized. We chatted for 6 or 7 minutes, mostly small conversations about getting to know each other. The relationship between several people became a little familiar. After all, we are all members of the same family from now on, and we will never see each other when we look up. Azusa Amami said hello to Amami Nazuki 2 more times, and then the crowded traffic in front began to clear up. There were still a lot of cars behind her, and Sakakibara Raku also had to drive away the sports car. Sister Zi, see you next time. Bye, but we should see each other again in a few days, right? Sakakibara was puzzled. I can only say that I have almost completed my studies in France. I came back because I was bored and wanted to find something to do. The rest will be kept secret. Azusa Amami disappeared into the streets of Tokyo. Sakakibara Suzu's opinion of this new aunt was neither good nor bad. She just touched her still aching head and complained, why do you guys like to flick my forehead? I haven't told you why you women like to twist my waist. Sakakibara stepped on the accelerator slightly and followed the vehicle in front. What can be clearly seen is that the distance between his sports car and the surrounding vehicles is at least twice as large as the distance between ordinary cars. The surrounding car owners seemed to be deliberately avoiding his car. Sakakibara Suzu stared at Sakakibara Raku's side face, who is still twisting the flesh on your waist. Sakakibara smiled happily, you pretend I didn't say anything. If you don't tell me, don't tell me. By the way, Yuki, is your sister a good person? Sakakihara Suzu turned around and asked Minazuki under her buttocks. Tianhai's Higsu nodded. A good person. Why do I feel that your sister smells like a villain, especially when she smiles with squinted eyes? Suzu Sakakihara shook her shoulders involuntarily, it almost gave me goosebumps. It's hard to meet my sister, Tianhai's Higsu said. She has been studying abroad. Tianhai's Higsu nodded. Do what? Painting, clothing. She's still an artist. No wonder. How old is she when she goes to France and dresses so fashionably? She looks not much older than us. Sakakihara Raku, 28. 28. Looks so young. Brother, do you have any idea about the confidentiality my aunt said? She said we can see each other in a few days. Is there any holiday? Sakakibara frowned and thought carefully, but couldn't think of any clue at all, so he could only answer truthfully. No. If not, forget it. Brother, drive quickly and let's go for a walk out of the city. Suzu Sakakihara was tired of the people around her who kept taking pictures of her sports car. You can't speed. Super. Must super. Asterisk. The time came one day ago. At 8 o'clock in the evening wind was slightly cold. So Ichiro Tenkai took a private car and returned to Tenkai's home just after the group meeting. He stood at the gate of Tianhai's house, with 2 bodyguards stationed in front of him. Yang Guizhong was waiting at the door for the master to come home. When Yang Guizhong saw his master get out of the car, he took the initiative to come forward, handed out the shawl Haori in his hand and said, Sir, Miss Zi has returned from France at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Come back at this time. Yes, I just came back not long ago. I think she just came back when she got tired of playing. Amkai Soichiro put Haori on his back and walked towards the manor while looking at the manor in the distance and thinking, Takatada. What do you want to ask, sir? I remember. Zi, it seems that you took good care of Zhigzu in the past. I remember correctly, Miss Zi is indeed very partial to Miss Zhigzu. She is also the only one among several ladies who has no complaints against Miss Zhigzu. Amkai Soichiro is very clear about the personalities of his children and their attitude towards Yuki. At the beginning, he was busy consolidating his position as the head of the family, and his wife took care of all the things at home. In other words, his daughters were all raised by their wives. They never rebelled against the family like their eldest son. With such a family fortune and such status, everyone will be more or less influenced by the commercial atmosphere. The people they marry are either powerful people or political dignitaries. Amkai Soichiro was not sad about this, but rather approved of this behavior because it was conducive to the maintenance of the Amkai family. But because of this, after his wife died, his daughters became less humane. Naturally, they regard the young sister who indirectly killed their mother as less important than the career and money in their hands, and even dislike her. Except Tianhaize, this girl who admires that bastard son very much. Soichiro Amkai often had some inexplicable troubles because of her. As a close confidant, Sakura Takataka spent half a minute to roughly figure out the meaning of Soichiro Amkai's words. The master is saying that he wants to find something stable for Miss Zi to do? And is it related to Miss Zhigzu? Well, Amkai Soichiro agreed calmly, let her go home and be idle. Let her run around and let her run around. I don't know how much trouble it will cause for me. I have to find something for her to do. Amkai Soichiro quickened his pace and arrived at the huge dining room. Tianhai Julie Yulai, Tianhai Kaimingyu, and Tianhai Zi were already dining in the dining room. When Tianhai saw the old man coming back, he quickly ended the conversation with Tianhai Julie Yulai and sat up straight. When Amkai Soichiro entered the dining room, he took one more look at his daughter, whom he had not seen for many years. Then he sat down directly above the dining room. Why do you suddenly want to come back? Why are you coming back? It must be because I miss you, Father Tianhaiza said with a smile. You're not serious, why don't you learn how to behave like your two nieces? Amkai Soichiro shook his head. How can I compare with Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai? They are much better than me. After I came back to Chad, I found out that before Chi Minjiao, Grandpa, you gave her pocket money. The foundation she set up by herself has actually grown to have $3 billion in capital. As an aunt, I still have to ask her for money to spend. Soichiro Amkai glanced at Amkai Kaimingyu and Amkai Kuruori who were sitting on both sides of the dining table, but said nothing. Others could not read any meaning from his expression. He didn't speak. Tianhaiza knew that the old man was not interested in what he said at all, so he could just eat quietly. The four of them finished their meal quietly in this restaurant. Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai politely left one after another. Only the father and daughter were left in the dining room. Tianhaiza was really bored, so he talked to his father again, speaking of which, my brother actually agreed to let his two precious daughters come to live with you. Why? Why? Didn't you see that they were quarreling? Aren't I asking your father why? Amkai Soichiro did not refuse to answer. While eating the food, he said in an indifferent tone, the reason is also very simple. They fell in love with the same man at the same time. After hearing this, Tianhaiza was so surprised that he covered his mouth. Dad, you, can't you? But, it seems quite interesting, love triangle. Otherwise, do you think your eldest brother would be willing to leave her two daughters with me? Soichiro Amakai has become accustomed to his daughter's words. That's true. Where is Yuen's Higsu? Dad, why did you let her out? She can't live alone at all. When talking about Higsu, Soichiro Amamai's eyes became more serious. Your sister needs to grow up. No one at home can take care of her. I can do it. Where were you? I thought the snow actually didn't need me very much, so I went to France to further study what I like. Amkai Soichiro completely ignored his daughter's words. When he heard this, he understood completely in his heart. Azusa just cares more about her younger sister than those older sisters. But if Zi takes meticulous care of his sister, Zial is still far behind. And because of Zi's age and different life trajectories, the two sisters further developed a certain distance. It is also destined that she cannot replace Xiao Le before, let alone Xiao Le now. Dad, I'm serious, Tianhaiza said seriously. Okay, Amkai Soichiro put down his chopsticks and said, leaving it to you will only lead to bad luck for your sister. I have already handed it over to a more suitable candidate. Compared with before, your sister's condition has been much better. She is in a daze and the amnesia is also showing less and less symptoms. I went to Xiao Li's house a while ago to see her condition. This is good. Yuki's illness is in remission. Zial is my brother's stepson. I heard that daddy wants him to be his heir and marry into the family. Is this true? Amkai Soichiro did not deny, Xiao Li's talent is very good. Even if he has no guidance since he was a child, he can quickly acquire the talent for business. As for what you asked, yes, I have the idea of letting him become my wife, or I am 100% ready. Bai is sure that he is the candidate. I plan to let him be Higsu's husband. Is he so powerful? Tianhaiza doesn't care about this. It doesn't matter to her who is in charge of the Tianhai family. Because no matter what, as the daughter of Amkai Soichiro, she can have a carefree life for the rest of her life. This is what she wants. Wait a minute, Dad, are you saying you want Higsu to marry him? Amkai Soichiro expressed his affirmation with a silent answer. Is he really that powerful? Tianhaizi asked again. In her opinion, it was simply a fantasy that the old man could give his heart to a man. Amkai Soichiro, there are many reasons for this. You just need to understand that your sister is also interested in that boy. It turns out that the old man loves Yuki. That makes perfect sense. Tianhaize nodded to himself. Then who is the man Chi Minjiao and Zhu Liyulai like? I would like to see who is so attractive. Xiao Le. Tianhaize's head exploded instantly. I won't explain too much. Now that you are home, you are naturally ready to listen to my arrangements. Amkai Soichiro slowly stretched out an index finger towards his daughter opposite him, his white hair on his sideburns setting off his very dignified expression. He said seriously and solemnly. First, please stay calm at home. I have arranged a stable teaching job for you. I have already asked Gui's Hong to take it. You will be ready to join the job in a few days. Me. Old man. Second. Amkai Soichiro raised his middle finger and index finger together, his voice was unmistakable, and without even frowning, he choked what Amkai Azusa wanted to say back into her own stomach. You also know what's going on with your sister, she doesn't understand that matter. At present, Xiao Le still has some feelings for Chi Minjiao Juliyulai. I don't need you to break them up. I just need you to take advantage of your position and wait for an opportunity to promote the relationship between your sister and Xiao Le. The ring finger poked out. Third, help your sister seriously. I won't have too much control over what you want to do in the future. Whatever you want to do, as long as it doesn't overdraw the family's property, I can agree to it. Tianhaize was completely speechless. The old man was just trying to convince himself to open the door. But Dad, you are so partial. As a daughter, I can't help but feel a little jealous, but I can understand it. After all, for my father, Zhixu's feelings are more than simple. My younger sister is also the only one who can be said to have grown up alone. Dad owed her a lot. He raised his little finger and said, fourthly, Sakaki Hararaku will not know your thoughts, your actions, or the person who gave you such instructions. Isn't it just to hide your thoughts, old man? This has been an old routine for many years. The back of his open hand faced Azusa Amamai. Fifth, ask less and do more. As for why I let Zhixu marry Raku Sakakibara, you can join the job and understand the relationship between several people and the thoughts of that bastard Xiao Le. You will understand and agree with my reasons for doing this. Okay, the old man has already talked about this. Zi, do you understand? Clear. It seems that I can only put aside the doubts in my heart for the time being and help the old man. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tio Yu Lan. Chapter 313. Ahem, okay, everyone, please be quiet first. March 10th. Ming Junior High School, a second grade classroom. During the morning meeting, Mishika Tsukimi was still wearing a white coat and the matching outfit of a professional female teacher. She stood on the podium and announced to the students in the class in front of her. I want to say two things here. First, classmates Chi Minjiao and Julie Yulai were transferred to other classes for personal reasons. After hearing this, the students in the class looked at Raku Sakakibara, who was sitting in the first row, but he did not react much. Even Raku Sakakibara next to him did not react when the teacher announced this shocking news. Too much reaction. It was as if the two of them were completely aware of this matter. Tsukimi Sato Mishika continued, in addition, our school has a new art teacher, Azusa Amamai. There is nothing wrong with the new teacher. No one was too surprised about this matter. But this art teacher's surname is Tianhai. As a result, there was some discussion in the class about did the monitor soak all three Tianhai, and then the family members had to go to school to supervise the monitor. Wait a minute. In this case, shouldn't the monitor be transferred out of the class? Why are the discipline committee members and the deputy monitor the ones who suffer? I heard from a certain senior. I heard that the squad leader is the Tianhai family's appointed son-in-law, so the Tianhai family won't embarrass him too much. True and false? It's said to be true. Also, don't tell me you don't know about the sports car that Sakakibara-san shared on her personal Twitter. The video of that sports car went viral on social networks. That blue Bugatti Veyron sports car. Yes, I saw someone say in the comment area that this car is worth 5 million euros. So rich? Although it can be understood in our school, Sakakibara-san is not the illegitimate daughter of the Amami family, right? Some people on the internet say that Sakakibara-san is the stepdaughter of the eldest son of the Tenkai family. Stepdaughter? Then why does the monitor still date the deputy monitor? It's probably a rumor. It's also possible that the deputy monitor is not the daughter of the eldest son of the Tianhai family. After all, it's been so long and I haven't seen what their father looks like. That makes sense. I really envy the squad leader and the others. Raku Sakakihara is not deaf, so he can naturally hear the discussions of his classmates at the back of the class. Due to his good reputation of always helping everyone in the class and not putting on airs, the comments from his classmates were all positive, but they only teased him a little and expressed some envy. As for Aling's sports car tweet, that was indeed a blast on the internet. First, many people uploaded the short video Bugatti Bolide revealed in Ginza, Tokyo on the TikTok platform. After this short video became popular, many other netizens uploaded various videos and clips from different angles. As a result, the news grew exponentially on social platforms. As the number of people watching increased, Japanese netizens who were usually bored and loved to join in the fun began to make weird guesses about which young master was driving out to show off his wealth. As a result, someone pointed out in the comment area the photo and tweet link he sent out at that time, and everyone suddenly understood that a top-notch sports car with a global limited edition of 40 units and a license plate of Shinagawa 3XX11-11 was actually released in a year. In the hands of a voice actor who is only 16 years old. Not to mention the sports car, it is indeed valuable, but what a discerning person can see is the license plate. Coupled with the rumor of Tianhai Group's stepdaughter, which is not widely spread at all, Ling is now revered by the voice actors on the internet as the most powerful person in the voice actor industry. In the world of voice acting, you can go sideways. This made Ling feel embarrassed to wear her usually more expensive clothes. Because something so valuable is inevitably criticized by some people. Quiet. Tsukimi Sato-kyung raised his voice, interrupting the whispers at the bottom of the class. Teacher Tianhaize, who has just returned from France, graduated from the École Nationale Supérieure des Beaux-Arts in Paris and further studied art design at the École Nationale Supérieure des Arts Décoratifs in Paris. She is a teacher with a very strong personal style and talent. I hope everyone can work with her in the future. Get along with. The students in the audience had no objection to this, but in the past, when new teachers were introduced, the teachers were often present, but they did not appear at this time, which made everyone feel very strange. Tsukimi Sato-kyung understands this feeling. But she won't explain to the students that your new teacher is sleeping at home at this time. Then Raku Sakakihara came on stage and announced some of the school's daily norms for teacher Tsukimirai, and the morning meeting ended. After the first English class, Sakakibara Suzu and Sakai Chitano chatted for a few minutes. Then she saw Sakakibara Raku in front of her tutoring Amami no Yuki in English and still chatting, so she took the initiative to chat with her while holding her English book. There was a stool under his buttocks and he moved over. The three of them gathered around Sakakihara Raku's table. Sakakibara Suzu looked left and right at their faces, and then asked Sakakibara Raku, "Brother, do you know that my aunt is going to be our teacher?" "I know a little bit. After my aunt left that day, my uncle happened to call me and tell me about the change of classrooms in Q9. I asked about it together and got the answer that we will have an extra teacher in the near future." Sakakibara Suzu was curious, folding her hands and lying on the right side of Sakakihara Raku's desk. "Auntie, why did she come to our class? Come to be our teacher for no reason." "I don't know." Raku Sakakibara circled a grammatical problem in Amami no Yuki's workbook, "but according to my uncle, our grandfather wanted my aunt to settle down after returning to China, so he found a serious job for her. Now it seems that this so-called serious job is to be our teacher." Sakakibara Suzu thought this was completely unreliable. "Can we let her be the teacher? I feel like she is evil. My aunt is still good at teaching. At least she taught some students in France." Sakakibara Suzu touched her forehead, still dissatisfied with the fact that her head had been inexplicably bounced twice before. "Not everyone can play with his head. I still think she is unreliable, and she actually asked me to call her sister. I have never called anyone sister. I just think she is a scheming person. Little Bell." Dry. Sakakihara Suzu subconsciously turned around looking for the voice, but she never thought that as soon as she turned around, her forehead would be hit again. It hurts," Sakakihara Suzu quickly hugged her head. Sakakibara saw Azusa Amami's squinting kind smile again. The other party didn't know when he had arrived in the classroom. White t-shirt, white shorts, white Nike sneakers. A pair of slender white thighs peeking out from under the shorts, very eye-catching. She still looks exactly the same as when we first met. The difference is that she changed into a spring beige hooded jacket, which made her look younger. Because of her appearance, some students in the class began to look curiously at this beautiful woman who was very similar to Tianhai's Higsu. Especially the thighs, boys can't help but take another look at them. Azusa Amami didn't pay attention to the eyes of other students in the class, but focused on Suzu Sakakibara who was holding her head in front of her. "Why should Xiaoling call me aunt?" Although Sakakibara Suzu had a headache, due to her status as aunt and teacher, and her kind smile that made her a little scared when she looked at her, after her head recovered, Sakakibara Suzu came to the stage with her purple eyes and said with some dissatisfaction. Replied. Sister Zi. Then her forehead was shot again. "You should call me Teacher Zi at school." Seeing Sakakihara Suzu being crushed in Amami Azusa's hands over and over again, Sakakibara Raku, as an older brother, sympathized with her so much that he almost laughed out loud. Hateful. "What's so funny about this?" Sakakibara Suzu puffed her face, looking aggrieved that she had been bullied by outsiders but not sympathized with by her own family. "It's nothing, I just feel like one thing is falling." "Why is one thing suppressing another thing?" "I am not convinced." Sakakibara felt that Suzu would most likely have to deal with this aunt in the future. Teacher Azusa. "Oh. Xiao still understands my aunt's thoughts and knows what to call her." Tianhaiza was very happy. "The next class is your art class, right?" "Is that so?" Sakakihara Raku was also speechless. "That's how the curriculum is arranged." "The dean should have told you about this, Mr. Azusa." "I overslept that morning and accidentally forgot about it." This aunt didn't change into her professional attire when she came to school as a teacher. As a teacher, she didn't even remember when classes were due. "You don't have a class syllabus, do you?" Sakakibara took the opportunity to ask. Did Ms. Azusa write a teaching outline at night? Teaching assistant outline? What is that? Tianhaizi held his chin with one hand and turned his head to the side in confusion. "Didn't Mr. Zi teach students in France?" "I've been taught it." "But doesn't it vary from person to person? Art is originally about learning the experiences of predecessors and then integrating a set of creative skills with independent thinking and self-expression. That's it." When Raku Sakakihara heard this, he realized that this was really different from the art teachers he had come across before. Even if the art teacher has a certain open mind, he will still put together a teaching plan. It's completely different when it comes to Tianhaiza. It seemed that she had not prepared anything, and had not even thought about a general teaching direction. As for your grades, Xiaoli, you don't have to worry. Other students don't dare to say anything. Xiaoli, I'll guarantee you a passing grade. Dot. Yuki, Tianhaizi. I hugged the expressionless Tianhaizi like a best friend, without the image of a teacher at all. Come and say good morning, sister. Good morning, sister. Ah, it's so cute. Tianhaizi touched Tianhaizi's face and rubbed it casually. By the way, why did you dye your hair? Do you have the same black hair as your sister? Dot. What's wrong? Can't remember. Sakakihara Suzu arranged the hair on her forehead. I took her to dye it. Xiaoling dyed it with Yuki. It looks pretty good. Tianhaizi touched Tianhaizi's head, and the girl closed her eyes like a kitten under her sister's touch. Why didn't you see Chi Minjiu and Julie Yulai? Sakakihara Raku, they just changed classes due to personal reasons. Tianhaizi smiled and nodded. That's it? Today's second class is art. Azusa Amamai met everyone in the class for the first time. After introducing herself on the podium with a gentle smile and the vigor and vitality of a young person, she asked Raku Sakakibara to take everyone to the art room to get some materials, and then go sketching together on the ginkgo slope at the school gate. Painting theme, random. Painting style, casual. Grading criteria for drawings, any. Just highlight whatever you want. Tianhaizi, a teacher, was also there, squatting on the edge of the flower bed, fishing and playing with his mobile phone. This behavior, which is strictly prohibited among school teachers, was as common as a student saying hello to a teacher in her hands. Some of the classmates inevitably started discussing the new teacher. After all, such behavior is irresponsible as a teacher. But until the middle of the course, Tianhaizi glanced at everyone's progress and called the people in the class to come around and watch him teach again. Tianhaizi didn't say much. Instead, under the gaze of everyone, he took a small bucket and splashed it on the blank paper. Then he stared at the running water above, tapped his chin twice with the brush, and tried to figure out the marks above. 10 seconds. Immediately afterwards, she pulled up a small stool and sat in front of the painting. She took the palette, changed a paintbrush and soaked it with water, and smeared the paint on the paper painting in broad strokes. It's completely confusing. But soon, in the sight of all the classmates and in the picture under her hand, rows of tall and straight ginkgo trees began to reveal their outlines. The color of the ginkgo leaves gradually changes brightly, from dark green in the shadow to light green in the sun, and then to dark brown close to the trunk. They gradually become larger from far away to near. They sway in the spring breeze, forming a dynamic perspective effect. The lines of the slope path under the ginkgo trees are smooth and powerful, and change with the ups and downs of the ginkgo trees, forming a unique sense of rhythm. The whole picture reveals a beautiful atmosphere, giving people a sense of tranquility and relief. Although it is only a rough draft, no details have been drawn out yet. But all the students have already seen the beautiful scenery of the painting that will be completed soon under Tianhaizi's pen. That's it, all the details are of no use to you now. With this kind of technical ability, even students without any talent or knowledge of art can see that Tianhaizijin is as good as a great god. It's amazing, a female classmate from the painting department couldn't help but admired from behind. This skill is many times better than that of the seniors in her club. It's just so. Okay, I've said everything that needs to be said. If I say too much, it will only block your thinking. Remember, it doesn't matter if you draw ugly, the difficulty is not daring to draw. Go, everyone will answer their own questions. Take a seat and paint. Tianhaizi's teaching lasted only 10 minutes, and then he asked the students to work on their own paintings. He also arranged for Raku Sakakihara and Yuki Amamai to have an ambiguous relationship together. Then he went to squat in the flower bed nearby and played with his mobile phone. Of course, it's not all about playing with your phone. With the help of this first class that has just arrived, Amami Azusa has been observing Sakakibara Raku and Amami Nazuki. She had no problem with the old man wanting to bring the two of them together. From the fact that my sister often asks Xiao Li what to do here, and Xiao Li patiently answers some tips and methods on how to get along, Tian Heize can tell that the two of them are a perfect match. And my sister would take a look at Xiao Li from time to time. Although she looked at Xiao Li naturally, other than her sister, no one else could tell any clues. How about you two get married right here? It's just that Yuki is so silly, Xiao Li's face is coming over to teach you, you just kiss her on the mouth. Tian Heize was so anxious that he wanted to go up by himself. However, the old man drove away his two granddaughters for Yuki. Is that okay? They were also forced to move classes in order to prevent Xiao Li from coming into contact with them. It's too much, really too much. I can hardly stand it anymore. 7 bright moons and 9 colored glazes. To be honest, Xiao Qi and Xiao Ju had a good relationship with me before. Wouldn't it be bad to hurt them? Tian Heize tapped her chin with the back of her phone, thinking about it. No, it seems that we have to go find Qi Minjiu and Ju Liyulai alone to see what their thoughts and situation are.